So one of the reasons why I wanted to do the seminar at the top of the year is because I remember when I bought my first property. It was a duplex right on 36th Avenue, right here in Miami Gardens, on 191st, right in back of Strawberries, actually. And I remembered having, I don't, Rocio probably remembers this, and Vince, a stated, like, huh? Yeah, no income, no assets. You didn't. I mean, I'm sure they looked at your scores, but you didn't have to send your tax returns and all this stuff. And you were able to buy properties, and that was good for me because a lot of realtors, we write off a lot of our income, which we're going to talk about in a minute for our 1099 people. How many people in here are 1099 and how many people are W-2s? Wait. 1099, W-2. Okay, perfect. To the people on Zoom too. If you don't remember, around 2007-8, we had a market crash. Like my income went from $500,000 to about, I still have this 1099, to about $50-something thousand. So that was a very big gap for me. And a lot of people didn't know what to do, how to do it. And I believe the creation of all those programs kind of put us in a place where real estate just collapsed. There were a lot of pre-construction back then. I remember when people were buying pre-construction, what would happen is that they would say, okay, so just let me just frame this out for a second. All right, so what happened was you would buy this new construction. Oh, let me frame this for y'all. So when you buy a house and it's just been sitting there, your taxes are already calculated with the house, with the property and the land, right? Well, on these new construction properties, your taxes, and remember we pay taxes in the rear, so we pay them at the end of the year. Your taxes will be all $300 for the year. All right, so 12 months. Wait, so it would be like $25 a month for your taxes. Y'all would agree that's like a great deal, right? Well, now take that $300 and take $6,000 because that's what it was increasing to. Because now what the county is doing is saying, wait, this is not raw land anymore. There's an actual structure here. We didn't know that in January. But now that we've done our assessments at the end of the year, you now have an adjustment. You now have something in your escrow, which is made up of your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. There's something wrong there. We don't have enough money to pay out. So now you're in a negative. You're freaking out. You got the same job making the same money. You based your payment based on your income that didn't change, but this payment changed. Oh, Mari, that's so good if you can get that TV on. So now I don't have to look like this. I'm really not going to use that spreadsheet thing up there, but y'all can follow along. All right, so I'm going to divide 6,000 divided into 12. That's now, you went from $25 a month to now an additional $500 a month. Let me ask any of you in here, just by a show of hands, if right now anything increased your mortgage or anything, if you had an instant $500 payment, would that kind of alter your life a little bit? Would you have to do some checks and balances, cut a little bit? Yes. That would be a payment shock. Yes. So now everybody had these payment shocks, including myself, but they didn't have enough income to sustain. So what you start to see people do, guess what? We didn't need to use FHA at the time because conventional has 0% down. Remember that was 100%? Man, that was the good old days. We should have ate up some properties. 100% financing. Remember, FHA allows you to do 3.5%. And I think back then it was 3%, or was it 3% conventional? It was either 3% conventional or you did 100%. No docs. You could tell the people you made $500,000. They weren't checking. It just needed to make sense. I mean, you couldn't be a school teacher and saying I got a W-2 if it didn't make sense. It just had to make sense. Okay, so, what was I just saying? So yeah, so it had to make sense. So we were picking up properties. I didn't know any better because I didn't know what financing before looked like. I'm just entering the market. Now I'm making a lot of money in real estate because I'm selling all of y'all houses, right? I'm selling all of y'all houses, right? I'm making a lot of money. And so I'm like, okay, what do I do with this money? It's a lot of money. Like for 21, y'all think about this. For a 21-year-old to be closing on a house in January 5th, closing on another house on the 15th, closing on another house on the 20th, and making it 20 to 25,000, 30,000. I mean, some of my clients, remember, I just come out of college at the University of Florida where sports were just like through the roof. All of my athlete friends are now in contracts. It was a good time, and I was thinking, you know, what could I do with this money? And this is what a lot of people should be thinking. I wasn't thinking about buying a house. I didn't care about buying a house. In fact, I grew up in a house that my mom and dad owned, so that's not my story. Even though they didn't talk about real estate, I didn't want to have something that it would be a burden for me. Does that make sense? And then I said, okay, well, I'm riding down the street and I see this property. And I said, well, maybe I can buy this. It had 2 tenants in it. Those tenants, I've been in real estate for 23 years. I just talked to that same tenant 2 weeks ago. Her mother passed away, owes no money on the property. It's a complete gut. But I built a relationship with my tenants that paid me for 19 years, Section 8 tenants. Dang, I can't cut this out, huh? Well, I just won't say it.
You didn't say the name.
No, but she knows. So if she hears it, she don't know I'm talking about it. But she won't listen to this. So she's like, no, Claudia, I can't keep this house because I'm going to lose my Section 8 voucher. I was like, what? No way. I said, are you sick? Are you kidding me? Anyway, so that's just so actually be a property that one of you guys could potentially own. And so although the market is here, there are still situations where you're going to get good deals. They're about to go into a good deal, into a deal that's $350,000 that we're going to sell at, I don't know, in 6 months, another $450,000, $500,000. Like, it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. And so I buy this duplex, and I'm making like $1,600. Now, I'm making a lot of money in real estate commission, so $1,600 is not really attractive, okay? But I'm like, man, this is where the whiteboard comes in, and I draw my houses. But my husband said there's no whiteboard over there, so he went to our other location to get me a whiteboard, so I could, because he knows that I love the whiteboard. And I didn't tell him, no, don't get it. He's gonna go get the whiteboard. So now I buy this duplex. I do a new roof. I got new windows. I think I'm moving into place. And one side was already rented, so I didn't bother that side, and I just renovated one side. I think I was making $1,350 off of each unit. And that was a lot of money. Like, rents are like, in that same building are like $2,400 right now. So now I'm making like $2,600 a month. No. I'm making $2,600 a month, and I'm like, okay, half of this is going to my mortgage payment, okay? And I like it. It felt good. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this again. How can I get this $1,600, because that's what I was netting. Like, how can I get it to $20,000 a month and replace potential income that I had to go and work, drive you around, you confused. Tell me your name again. Tasha. So I'm driving Tasha around. Y'all know what I'm talking about. How many realtors I got in here right now? You know what I'm talking about? Right. So you know what I'm talking about. You driving the people around, they confused. 1 minute they want a 3-2. Well, I get a 3-1. And now, you know what? I don't want anything. Well, we changed our mind. We going to this city. I'm like, wait. I need to be able to replace this income, because although I love the job and I love to help people, it was getting pretty taxing. Very soon, very quickly. But I had to do it because I had a goal. And so I said, okay, I've got this one property. I'm just going to set a goal about property every year. By the time 20 years come out, I have 20 properties. Well, it didn't happen that way, because some years I bought 2 and 3 and 4 properties. I flipped out of some properties. I purchased properties that people couldn't see a vision on. Oh, man, I wish I had that purple house. I actually do, but I'm not going to get up and interrupt to show it to you. But it was a $60,000 house in Miami Gardens. Y'all know what houses are selling for in Miami Gardens right now? I bought it for $60,000. The neighbor saw what we were doing, because we were completely good at the house. Right here, and then it was right here on 39th Avenue and 191st. So right across from Risco Park. That neighbor told this neighbor, I can't make this stuff up. We bought the house, sold it, because I never wanted to have a single family house. Like, that wasn't my ideal of investments. I always wanted to have multiple units. The neighbor, same thing. We have 4 or 5 houses that were neighbors that we were able to buy because people saw what we were doing. And it wasn't really a thing back then. Like everybody doing real estate, it seemed like right now. And so I don't know if they were happy for us or we just came up with the money. I just figured it out. Some of y'all have to get rid of the fear and the anxiety of owning a property and just go for it. I don't even think I've gotten more than 2 traditional loans, and I'm not making this up. Most of my loans are, watch this, Rocio, what are you getting ready to flip me out of a what? My duplex that you're getting ready to refi. What are you refining me out of, though? What loan do I have on the building? You don't have any. I do. On the duplex? Oh, I'm sorry, hard money. Everything I have is hard money. They don't ask me for no money. They don't ask me for no paperwork. They don't ask me for no tax returns. I don't got to be bothered with all this paperwork, right? And then we have the leverage, so we can do that. Because even this building that you guys are sitting in, believe it or not, we don't have a conventional loan on. We have a 40% down, 12% interest only, no taxes and no insurance. And the insurance on this building is $150,000. So I tell you that to say when we have market corrections, I like to call them market corrections. Zoom, I like to call them market corrections. And when there are market corrections, that's not your problem that other people did what they did in the market. Your thing here is now to make sure you maximize on what I call the market correction. Does that make sense? You know, when we went into the recession in 2008, 2009, probably some of 10, it was, cities got millions and millions and millions of dollars to buy blighted properties. I was one of those realtors who helped to create some of those programs, which was called the Neighborhood Stabilization Program. My sister-in-law, I put her in a house. She was a school teacher. She would have never bought a house if it were not for that program. She wasn't even thinking about buying a house. My other girlfriend was a teacher at Edison. She bought a house. And these weren't little like grants. These were like $150,000 grants. They need to live in the house for 10 years. Where they were going, they weren't moving no way. So they there. And guess how many years it's been? We over the 10 years. We're over the 10 years. So now they have a free and clear house. Well, I don't even like to talk about their mortgages. When I did have a mortgage, it was like sickening to hear what their mortgage, it was like $400 a month. Taxes and insurance was included. So they got so much grant funds to help towards not only down payment, but the city went in and gutted everybody. They don't even care if they had a new kitchen. They took it out and put a new kitchen, new roof, impact windows. New plumbing, new everything. So just imagine you like walking in a house brand new. Some of their mortgages were $800. I'm like, girl, my mortgage is $4,000. That's interest only. So now, moving forward, I don't want you to focus on the prices because those prices we won't see again. Right. And if you wait, here's what happens. You're going to wait like I waited. Even back then, I was like, there's no way I could buy this. I bought a house for $60, $50, a duplex for $30, a duplex for $60. I'm like, I can't buy that house for $150,000. That's inflated. I wish I would have bought that house for $150. You don't know until you get there. But what I do know is real estate has a trend. So my parents owned their house. When I'm 44, my mom is still living, although she has Alzheimer's, she's still physically here. They bought that house for like $38,000 at the double-digit interest rates. Okay? I met the guy who sold them their house, and it was the first house he had ever financed for them or for anybody. Can you imagine? I met him like a couple years ago, and I just talked to him. But any which way, they bought that house for like $38,000, double-digit interest rate, and my house was in Carroll City, right here, like literally up the street. You will not buy that house for $30,000 unless you find it on a tax deed sale, and not even there because they're going to overbid. They may not even start there. They might start at $250 now because that's more reasonable for the market. So how many people have heard, I need to wait until the prices come down? I be saying the same thing. I'm waiting too with y'all. I ain't learned my lesson yet. But the thing is that at some point, we're going to end up catching up to those prices. So 4 or 5 years from now, you're going to be in a position to say, wow, you know, interesting. I bought this house. You're going to have the same stories I have. Y'all, we bought a house in Opelika, a duplex. This was a short sale. I just simply called the bank. They said, just send us an offer. I was like, what? This is an unconventional short sale. Okay, I'll do that. I sent them an offer for $30,000. I think that they counted like at 35 or 38. We ended up at 40,000. So now we want to buy this building, but we don't have all the cash to buy this building. So I'm like, okay, what can we liquidate? Let's look at Opelika. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. So I look at Opelika. I'm like, well, we don't owe anything here. We're getting money every month. In fact, I was so busy. I think it was a time where that place was empty for at least 6 months. So you never want to do that. That was something that I did that I should not have done. And you should never be too busy to go collect some money. But any which way, I renovated it, got 2 people in there, Section 8 tenants, $2,400 a month. I owe no mortgage. Can you imagine having a building that a tenant will eventually pay off for you? Y'all do the numbers real quick. $2,400?
2 units, 48,000, 56,000.
A year. I could literally retire my job, buy something else. I could leverage the property, pull money out. Although I don't like to do that, I could pull money out and go buy me something else. So we decided not to refinance that building because there's such a thing that you can't do 100% refi. What's the max you could take out on a 2-unit refi, cash out? So I could only take out 75%, and I needed every dime. So I said we're going to sell it. And then I happened to be the realtor on both sides. I didn't plan it. It just happened, which is a whole nother real estate conversation of why you need to be on the listing side in today's market. But that's a whole different conversation, Zoom, that we'll have it another day. But I ended up selling that property for $500,000. Who would have thunk? Who would have thought that a duplex in the city of Opelika, the heart of Opelika, Wilmington Street, 2 minutes away from City Hall, okay, 5, would take off like that? I didn't know COVID was going to come. Did y'all know COVID was coming? It just kind of came, and we was like, whoa, what we doing? So now what we're doing here, guys, is positioning you for success. Okay, now I got to put my glasses back on because I can't see that screen back there. It's still too far. Whoa. Oh, these are dirty. Now, let me ask y'all a question. Who monitoring the Zoom? Let me log into the Zoom so I can monitor it from my phone. This is what happens when you don't got a big old empire.
Hey, Mom, it is big.
Right.
And you wanna go live and computer still get on if they want to?
Yeah. I just want to get to this presentation that I have so I could make sure that I'm giving you guys the nuggets. And we won't be here that long. Oh, here it is right here. Great.
Do you want me to help?
No, I'm good. So my Zoom people, if you have questions, hold on to your questions. Put them in the chat box, and we're gonna do a Q&A. Okay? So what are you guys looking for when you're selling? First of all, you need to find a realtor that is trusted, who is, look at her. I can't. Yeah, that's me. Sonya Hickman. That has some level of experience, and if they don't, they're with a team that has a level of experience. Just because you've had your license for 10 years does not mean you know what you're doing. Okay? I would rather use somebody 1 year in the business that has a lot of activity because they have a lot of experience. And when you're buying a 4-unit, 2-unit, 3-unit, they need to understand how to calculate numbers, and so do you. All right, you need to understand, okay, I'm buying this property for this much. You're getting a loan for most of it. How much money am I putting down in my pocket? 5% if we use Fannie Mae, 3.5% down if we're going to go FHA. You know, I was talking to Rocio, and I was like, Rocio, I got a plan. I got a thought. It's like 7:30 a.m. She answers. She's crazy like me. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, well, one of the things with Fannie Mae is, and I'll tell you just a little difference. So FHA, you cannot reuse and reuse like you used to be doing like the stated days. Y'all messed that up. The people messed that up. Now they have a requirement that you have to be 100 miles away from wherever you purchased to be able to purchase again. So you cannot purchase on 15th Avenue and go over here to Opa-locka and purchase again. It's not 100 miles away. So obviously if you moved 100 miles away, probably work took you there, and now you got to move, right? Fannie Mae says, you know what? We'll do this product over and over and over again for you, okay? We'll do it every year, no matter where you're going. So here's my idea. I don't even know if I can say this out loud. Just nod your head if I can. Okay, so what happens is you got to intend to live in that property. You have to live in the property. So here's what I would do, okay? And it has to make sense to the lender. Mario, am I live? Mm-hmm. No, I don't think he put me on live yet. Okay, good. So now, dang, are we recording this Zoom? Okay, good. All right, so, okay, wait. Okay, think about this. Some people are going to say, no, I want to live in a house. Well, that's just backwards. Because now what's going to happen, guys, I bought 4 properties before I bought a house, and I didn't care what people were saying. I was getting to the bag, and not the Birkin bag. I don't even know how to spell it yet, okay? All right? I was getting to the property bag, okay? Now what was happening is that I was not concerned, and I didn't know this back then. This just happened. This was not because Claudine was educated. I was just not interested in living in a house. I grew up in a house. It wasn't something, oh, I got to have a house with a white picket fence. That just ain't never been my dream. I don't know why, it just hasn't. So I ended up buying up all these properties, but it still now makes sense. So let me just frame this for you guys. If you buy a single-family house right now, and then you try to go buy a multi-property, they're going to say, well, you make this income, you live in this house, and you got to pay all these bills over here, the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance. Now you have no capacity to buy anything else because your ratios are too tight. But if you started a 4-unit and these are rented out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're living in one, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't count this debt against them. This is like income. So this is added income to you. So y'all understand that? Yes. And now things got great. 24 came, you bought the 4-unit, you lived in the 1-unit. Man, let me tell you something. I'm going to post it today. I went to my duplex yesterday, and I went to sweep up, and I really just went to go see if this fraudulent guy changed my lockbox and stuff, to be honest. And I was just like, man, I thought, when I bought that place, I thought about moving in there. I was like, Mario, we should move there and stabilize the community. It was in Liberty City. It was right on the outskirts. But any which way, so now just think, you have these 4 units, you're living in 1 unit. Y'all getting this, right? These people are paying no mortgage. These people paying your mortgage for you. In fact, they're not even just paying your mortgage. They're paying your light, your water, your landscaping. Oh, thank you. This is so great. Wait, now do I have a marker? Oh, he's so great. Look at my hubby. And a oh! All right. So let me frame. Okay. Now, I always want to be a school teacher, I'm telling you. This is true. I was majoring in education. And then I went to what do you call those job fairs? They were like, oh, you can make 36. I was like, wait, this ain't matching up. I'll see y'all later. But any which way. And now, look, I don't own school. Well, guess what? We can make teachers some more money on the side because we do need them. Because without them. So this is the 4-unit, right? It's all attached. Okay, this is attached. This is a fence. Okay. So you're living in this side. You got rent coming in this side. Let's just say the average rent is $1,200. I don't know. No, $2,000. This is more realistic. Right? Rent is expensive. I know. I told one tenant I was increasing the rent. She moved. I was like, bye. So in which way? So now you're making $6,000. For simple math, let's just say the mortgage is $4,300 because Rocio worked numbers and she was able to help buy down the rate and, do what she does. So now your mortgage is $4,350, but you're making $6,000. How much money are you making in your pocket? So now, guess what? my school teachers are like, wait, I got to change. I want to go to a different school now. And I don't want to drive 45 minutes to school every day, one way. So I got to drive there and drive back, right? So now they say, wait a minute. I'm just going to rent this side out. Rocio, do you think I could be qualified for a 3-unit? I got to do something different. Wait, let me just. Okay.
You got to erase it.
Okay. So I got to make this like smaller. The drawing is really for me, y'all. The drawing is really for me. I just want to feel like I'm doing something that makes sense. So this is 6,000, right? Right?
Yes.
We said the mortgage was $4,350. I'm making this number up because that's typically what it is. And you live here. Do y'all think 1 year, 2 year of sacrifice doing this is worth it?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So I didn't do this. I lived in an apartment somewhere, but rent wasn't expensive. I was in an apartment. I think everybody started in those apartments right there on Pembroke Road and 57th Avenue. They like brown now, but everybody know lived there. But any which way, this is this. And then you call Rocio, and I'm going to ask you, Rocio, do you think that I can buy a 3-unit building with the 5% down? Because I'm going to change. I'm thinking about going from the high school to the middle school. It's about 40 minutes away, and I really want to be close to my kids, the school. Do you think that's possible?
Absolutely.
All right, so I go and rent this out. So now how much am I making in this building? I'm making now what?
8,000.
All right, so this is going to equal 8,000 in income. How much money you're making now,
3650.
this doesn't change. Because you file homestead exemption, because you live here. Y'all say it with me. You live here. I live here. My water bill is here. And don't get jazzy, because when they send that tax bill to your house, and the mailman knows not to forward that bill, and it goes back to the county's going to say, wait a minute. We know why we get these returned, because the person is not really there. And they done put on a forward. Like, don't try to outslick Uncle Sam, ever.
Somebody on the Zoom said, is there a certain time frame you have to reside in the home using Fannie Mae before you can move?
So I don't think that there's a written rule. It just need to make sense. Listen, if you really were a pilot, you were or you worked for Southwest, and now you got a promotion at American, but this really happened. The person got a loan here, and a month later, it was FHA, a month later, they had to move because they got the job that they really wanted. Well, I mean, what are they going to say? He did move into the property. His intent was to move into the property. He did move from somewhere, Texas somewhere, to Florida because of the job offer. He had a job offer letter. And now he got a better job. It just got to make sense. Yeah, well, you got to live there, all right? So now you're making extra money because now you moved out. But it's true. You're making extra money, but you're really not yet, because where you living at now?
Right.
Okay? So you got to figure that out. So now you call Rocio, and Rocio says, Mario, I just need one more mark. This is not working too well. But I think they got what's going on. So I get the 3rd unit, and I just duplicate what I'm doing. And eventually you do this until you buy the single family home. If you start a single family home, nobody's going to believe that you're moving out of your nice single family home to go to a 4-unit. It just doesn't make sense. No, but Naya, how old are you, Naya? 25. Naya's 25. I started when I was 21. She could literally get started right now. It's going to make perfect sense for her. She just got started. She's got her career going. She's going to buy a 4-unit. I mean, I would physically be living in a 4-unit. I would. My tenants are there. I get to see them every day. I'm going to water my grass. You're going to treat it a little bit different. Okay? And you're going to do it differently. You're going to go here to a 3-unit. Then times are going to get great. You know, you're sick of all of these neighbors. You know, Rocio, let me ask you a question. I know I called you last year and I said I was moving. I did. I went to a different school. It's been great. But I'm thinking about moving back to my high school. Because, you know, I just can't deal with the little kids. They require a lot of work. High school was a little bit different. Do you think I could buy a 2-unit building? I'm kind of sick of the neighbors, and I want a little bit more privacy. Do you think that I could apply for another 2-unit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Affordability.
Okay.
You can't afford a single family and the costs involved.
Well, I don't want a single family. Yeah, I'm trying to see how the duplex kind of thing look. Duplex is okay. Credit is there. Income is there. I'm going to rent all 3 of these out now. I mean, it was a great time living here, but now I get to rent this out. COVID hit, so rents are no longer $2,000, they $3,000. This is nuts. You just bought it at the right time. Who thought in here we was going to get anything like a COVID? Like, it's like unheard of. It's like, where did it come? They all made it up? Well, I'm confused. Right? So now, how much you making here? 9,000? Let's just say the rent here, the mortgage here was 3,500.
Remember, it's hard to see that.
He's gonna give me a new market, but you get it.
I get it. But when you were at the 4-unit, you moved now into the 2-unit? I mean, the 3-unit?
Yeah, I moved down here. I bought another 3-unit.
So that income is not really income yet then. If it's 3,000, you have.
No, you're right. You lived here. But now I done moved. I done moved into the 2-unit. Now, I did live here.
Okay.
Remember I went to the middle school?
Okay.
Yeah, now I did live here.
But now you don't move again.
Yeah, because I tried it out. I didn't really like it. I want to move back closer to my parents. I don't know, my parents getting older. I don't know. Figure it out. Now I'm in my duplex. I started here because I was 25. I was around the town. I was single. You know, I loved people. But now I'm 28. I need to get a little bit more serious. I don't know if that really happened around Mari's age, but okay. But right. But she's 25, she's 28. You know, I want some different things. A little bit more peace. Then she goes to the 3-unit. You know, this was great. But now I'm 30. And I feel like, you know, just one neighbor would be good. And then after this, she lands her dream job, and then she's got her single family house. Now all of these properties are paying still for the property she physically lives in. This is exactly what happened to me. However, when you're a real estate professional, and this could probably happen along the lines of any profession, there's no cap on what I can make a year. What I make depends on whatever I put in. I made my first $1 million in commissions in my early 20s. This is when I was hustling, I was bustling, I was doing what I do. So now I had the capacity. I had no bills, I had no student loans, I had nothing, really. And I was able to buy quickly because of what I decided to do. And I transitioned out of my job. I quit. So I saw somebody make $40,000 on a HUD statement long ago, 23 years ago. And I was like, she ain't do nothing. We came here, we picked out the house. She took us in the golf cart and drove us around to the lots. It looked really easy. But she also was working for a builder, so people would come to her, and she'd just be sitting there in the AC in these fabulous houses. I didn't really calculate all of that. But they weren't making as much commission either because they were making like 1% from the builder, and you couldn't work for other people when you worked for a builder. I didn't know. All I saw was the money. And I quit my job. I don't even think I called the people. Like, I had no job etiquette at the time. I didn't give them people no 2-week notice. I was like, I'm not coming back. And then I said, well, let me now go figure out how to get my real estate license. I had been to college. I knew I was a scholar. So I knew whatever it was going to take, I was going to get my license. But it only took a week. And guess what? I had no job. So I went and got my license in 1 week. All 9 hours a day for 7 days a week. So kind of this is what the setup looks like. So let's just back up for a second because I want to go over some of these details because a lot of you guys want to use friends. If you're my friend, I do want you to use me. I do. But you want to use a trusted professional that knows what they are doing. So when you get to this point, if you telling somebody all this, you need to go to another realtor. In fact, you don't need to go nowhere. You can just stay right here. Okay? So the first thing you need to do is you need to have a consultation with your clients. You need to have a consultation, right, Sonia, with your clients. You need to have a consultation with your clients. And so you're the client. How many buyers did we potentially have in here? You had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, you said something about house exempt. Is that when they find out that you wasn't living there, or is that?
No, homestead exemption is what you apply for when you are physically living in the property.
That's how it is for
That could last forever as long as you're living in the property. But the minute you leave, you need to identify the county and say, hey, I'm no longer living in this property. I'm transferring my homestead to this property.
So it's like a protection kind of.
Your taxes won't increase in a given year for more than 3%. These are my neighbors, right? Those are my neighbors. They live 4 houses down. Our taxes are different, and we kind of bought around the same time. But I bought with a hard money loan, so I could not file homestead exemption for 3 years. So what happened to my taxes? Instead of them being secured at $7,000, they're all like $10,000, $11,000 now. So from the time that I filed homestead, because I paid the house off, from the time that we filed the homestead, we get the savings from that point. Does that make sense? My taxes could be $20,000 right now. Am I making this up? In our community. But because I filed at that time, I'm protected at the 3% mark. Does that make sense? All right, cool.
So is it worth it? Should you keep the homestead on the property that has the highest taxes?
I didn't say that. I said you should keep the homestead where you live. Now that sounds like a master plan, but
Okay, I understand.
okay. I'm just saying. You should live in the rule is for you to claim homestead, you must physically be living in that property at minimum of 6 months a year.
And when you said the hard money that you could get it after 3 years, is it because you paid it off?
No, the hard money is something you can get when you buy property.
That you could get the homestead on that property you bought with the hard money loan? You had to.
Yes, because hard money is allowed to give you money without collecting documents because they don't have to go by the guidelines of Fannie Mae and all these people. But you cannot use those funds for a property that you physically live. It has to be for an investment property. And if you're living in it, it's not an investment. It seems like it is. You pour a lot of money into it. But, okay. So, do we have any more questions? Okay, go ahead.
So if you have like a co-lender or co-buyer on your loan, or like a
You mean you're the buyer and you have another buyer, a co-borrower?
co-borrower,
Okay.
yeah, on your complex, right?
Okay.
Do both borrowers need to live in the unit, one of the units?
That's a good question. I don't know.
You can have non-occupant co-borrowers.
You can have a non-occupant co-borrower. So the question is, if you have a co-borrower, just for Zoom, does that co-borrower need to live in the property?
Right, that's the question.
Are both of y'all on y'all approval letter?
Yes.
Okay. This is a sidebar. Let's see if we could do one without the other. Can we do that? Can we look at that? Okay, I just had that thought. Okay. Claudian's very random.
I know someone who's interested in, purchasing, a duplex, quadruplex.
What's the first thing you would tell them to do? Call me. Okay, go ahead.
Right. Actually, they reached out to you, so I'm gonna talk to you about that.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so, but maybe for me, here's my mindset, Claudia. Like, I'm a single mom. My child is in school where she's at, and I want to keep her there, right? So I want to also, not slow down where I see myself going in terms of, getting into these units and things like that. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, Miami, I can only afford like, a certain type of neighborhood, and I'm not going there. Okay, I'm just not going there. I'm not going there. I'm not taking my daughter there. So what do I do, to get started?
I want y'all to hear what she's saying. She's a single mom. I was a single mom. I was a mom at 14, just so you know. She doesn't want to move her daughter. Watch this. Mari,
Excuse me?
how many schools have you been to in your life?
I've never been in a school longer than 2 years until I got to college.
Okay, you don't need to college.
Okay.
I think sometimes we think we have this thing in our mind and we want our kids to be so safe and sound, and it doesn't have to be that way. Like, if you have to move, I would do what's necessary. First of all, I don't do what they say. I don't do what I think my kids want. That's just me. I do what I want. Because I pay the bills, so I get to say what we do. But it's not a bad thing. Like, he's a good kid. I got girl. Legacy is not going to dictate whether I move out of my house or not. Because I'm setting up, think about this, I'm setting up legacy. So I got smarter with it. I said, everybody going to call her Legacy, and everybody going to call him Legend. The teacher, every time, I don't care if they do something good or bad, they going to say what? Legend, Legacy, or they do something good. So in my mind, that's why I named them that. I wasn't all in love with the names. It just made sense. And if I had more kids, I already got names. I got Prophet, Icon. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
I'm ready to go. My kids are different now because I'm more experienced. But they're not going to dictate what we do.
But would you, have that same, mindset if you was just you and your kids as opposed to you and your husband and your kids?
Absolutely. I was a single parent for a minute. This boy got to high school. He went to 3 or 4 elementaries. I moved him around till I figured it out. Because he wasn't the best in school. He was having problems. The people out west is a little bit different. The people different out west. You tap your finger, you get a phone call. I'm like, wait. He was tapping his pencil on the desk and you calling me? Like, I don't understand that. I'm busy. Figure it out. I would drive him 35 to 40 minutes every day from my house out west to Crestview to some people who understood our type of kids. And he did well. That school was an A school, reading through the roof. And if you ask me, it was in the middle of the hood. So I do things based on what the circumstances are. My husband will tell you, I'll switch it up in a minute. Quick.
I guess for me, it's like, it's a peace of mind. Like when you're, asleep, I don't feel, you know what I mean? Like in a certain area, I would not have a peace of mind for me.
So you just got to move to the areas that you feel are going to give you a peace of mind. But to not explore could cause you to just sit in one space. And you'll miss out on the market over and over again. Somebody's hand went up over here. Okay, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to comment on what the young lady said. In Claudian's scenario there, right, the 3 units are paying for the mortgage. So if in that scenario there, where do you want to live? If you find that particular scenario, you can afford it because it's not coming out of your pocket. So where do you want to live? So it's all about research, finding the right property, finding the right areas. And if you find a scenario like that where the rents are high enough to pay for the mortgage, can you afford it now?
But don't you have to still live in the property?
But watch this too. Y'all know in Dade County and Broward, you're not in this little guideline box anymore. All you gotta do is live in the county and go to any school you want, as long as they have availability and space. I got kids from out west saying they love what they see going on in Norland. So now they don't want to go to the schools out west. They want to go where the energy is. And as long as there is space out there, they can go to that school. You got to drive them. But that's a sacrifice you make. Like you got to figure out what sacrifices you're going to make. I've made a lot of sacrifices. A lot of people told me what not to do. And all those people are broke. Oh, don't go to college away and leave your kids there. I'm like, what? I'm out of here. I don't have any other choices. You want me to stay here in Miami? I mean, to be truthful, we high on the crime side, really, to be honest. Top 5. I knew what my personality was like. I couldn't stay here. I failed the real estate exam twice. I moved to Texas for a week to study and aced it. I was distracted. I was still 21. I was still young. I'm still young now.
You know what? Crime is in every.
But I go to sleep at 10. But you see, you have to figure out, okay, what's my master plan? What are my sacrifices going to be? I have a property in Liberty City. I can't make this up. What did I just come home and tell you last night?
It depends.
about the property in particular. I was like, he's asleep. I told him to move in since October. Find a roommate, pay $1,200, get the roommate to pay $1,200. He's there for free. Isn't that duplex beautiful? Didn't I think about moving in that duplex? And you were like, you don't know. I said, well, we could really move here. And I told him, I said, get some security cameras. You can't be coming in at 4 and 3 in the morning. It's a sacrifice because it's a certain area. But I live in a gated community and my neighbor was robbed. Wait, I live in a gated community and we were on the news. I had to tell my neighbors, lock down, get in the house. People are on foot that stole a car on the outside, jumped our fence in the back. I don't know. I would never jump the fence. It's a bunch of preserved alligators back there. I said they didn't want to get away from the police. They ended up jumping the fence in our community, police everywhere. Choppers, 3-4 choppers. It can happen anywhere.
We had a murder in our community.
That's right.
Yeah, it was a drug in Pembroke Pines.
But she still I see her running at night. I'm like, she crazy. I ain't running when it's dark. They ain't about to get me. And the alligators ain't get me. Then I seen a couple people on the news. No, so you have to make adjustments. Now, the truth is I don't really run in the morning either, but I'm going to start. I know that's what he thinking, but she don't run in the morning either. All right, so any more questions so far? Does this make sense?
Yeah. You started with what I thought was the list. You said number 1, you have consultation with clients. What was number 2?
Okay, so consultation. You need to interview. See, he got me back on track. You need to interview your realtor.
Your realtor is interviewing you, you're interviewing the realtor.
Right. No, the realtor really don't. Other realtors don't interview you. We're trained to interview. But most realtors won't interview. They just take you on as a client. Right. How many people have seen a property before? Okay. How many people just met the realtor at the property? Right. You got to have a consultation, whether it's on Zoom. I need to outline, okay, here are the things that you need. That brings me to this. And we're going to segue and bring Vince and Rocio up. Well, I don't know if Rocio's coming. Okay. You could just sit here if you want. All right. What does that mean? Okay. Oh, y'all woke? Zoom? Put a number 2 if you woke. Some of y'all probably sleep. Now he texted me, Mom, send me a picture of the property. I done hyped him up. Get him out my house. Right? So old little lady in the back, ain't nobody going to bother her. All right. So the next thing you need to do is your realtor needs to tell you need to get pre-qualified. Well, what does that look like? You need to bring your tax returns, and don't be afraid to bring your documents. How many people brought your documents today? Y'all ain't serious. Okay, exactly. Well, I don't need y'all. They already approved. But you got some of your stuff. That tells me she ready.
I just flew in last night from Jamaica.
Girl, you supposed to get that stuff. It's on your email somewhere.
It is. Hi, Claudia.
Hi.
This is my daughter, Brianna. She had a question.
Okay.
What if you don't have pay stubs?
Then you could do something that's called bank statement loans.
Wait, you don't have pay stubs, sorry. You don't have pay stubs because you're self-employed or because they pay you a check? Self-employed. Okay, then we use the last 2 years of your income taxes for qualification.
See?
Boom.
And I'll repeat that for Zoom. What if you don't have pay stubs and you're self-employed? The answer from the professional who's been doing this for over 20 years said that they would use your income from the last 2 years combined. Okay, just so you got that. All right, cool. So let's move on. Okay, so you need to have your documents together, and they're gonna go over this. So I'm not gonna spend too much time here, and I'm gonna end in about 10 minutes here. Okay. Well, let me back up for a second, because before you get pre-approved, you need to make sure that you're not going, like, this is very important. Like, I think it's more important than the realtor. You got to know what lender you're going to. If you're a buyer that need a whole bunch of grants, then why are you going to go to lender A over here that has no experience in grants? Mm-hmm. That's dumb. Like, you don't want to be the test dummy on the largest purchase you might make in your life. You want to go to the lender that's best suited for you. Okay? I know that Rocio is going to make, I have like 8 lenders I work with. I could have called any of those people. I didn't. I called Rocio, and she was like, oh, somebody else dropped out. I was like, no, I didn't even start advertising. Do you want to do it or not? She's crazy. Did you not say that, Rocio? Like, it's this week. And I was like, no, it's not. It's like 3 weeks. And so, wait, what are you looking at? And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do it. But any which way, there was a reason why I called her in the space. She does grant loans. She doesn't do all grant loans, but she does some grant loans. She does wonders with figuring out, okay, wait, this doesn't work. Let me, it's like putting a puzzle together. And if you don't have somebody that's willing to at least try, you're doomed. What's going to happen is that you're going to be down. You're going to be like, I tried it, but it didn't work. You just didn't have the right people. You didn't have the right people. I could have called Chase in here easy. I could have called City in here easy. Easy. But you got to have a certain profile to work with them. You have to have 800 scores. You have to make sure it's really like a clean file. And I'm saying that the people here don't have clean files. I don't got no clean file. I got to call Rocio. And that's not, and that doesn't mean that we wouldn't send her the clean files. And I do. We do. Yeah, we do. But I know I can't always reward the big banks with easy files, and then she's working on all the hard files. Right. They don't have the capacity to do it. What's a clean file?
Were we a clean file?
I don't know. Are they a clean file?
I'm sorry, your name?
Garfield?
Yes.
Muhammad.
Yes.
Very clean.
I thought that was you.
Okay, so
I'll give you a hug.
and what are the documents necessary?
Same thing, tax returns. I'll give you an example, like a 1099 person. Like, I know you like to back out income and do that creative stuff. I don't really know what you do, but you're like, okay, you wrote all this off, but we can add it back in. Like, a bank is not going to do all of that.
No, we're not accountants, but, the accountant's job is to make sure that you guys pay the least amount of money to Uncle Sam, right? But sometimes when you're self-employed, we as lenders, mortgage underwriters, we look at your net income, meaning after all the expenses. So it's important that before you guys file your 2023 taxes, that I take a look at your 2022, just to see what the accountant did that prior year.
Slow down, Rocio. Say that one more time.
What?
That you need to look at.
I need to review your 2022 income taxes and your draft 2023 before you send it to the IRS, because there may be some adjustments and deductions that the accountant can write off that I can use as income. Some deductions I cannot use as income, which will hurt you when it comes to qualifying. So when you're self-employed, it is important to consult with your lender to review your taxes, okay?
All right. So that was choosing your lender. And so I'm going to tell you this right now. Mari, I don't know if you could put it on the screen, but if you're ready to go, we are doing, this is my thing. I was like, I had an idea. Can we give the people a credit if they get started today? She's like, yeah, we could do that. We could give them a credit at closing. I could say that on camera like this. That's legal to do. Lender credit. So imagine paying, I don't know, $199 today. And then we are able to give you a $500 credit at closing. Would that move some of y'all today? Y'all move up a little bit. Y'all feel like I want to touch y'all a bit. Okay? So now you found the lender, you got your pre-approval. Now you need to go and look for a property. Guys, start setting goals and targets. When do you want to get in the property by? I just called them out of the blue. I was like, well, why y'all not buying no houses? Like, what's going on? Well, actually, you called me about something else. And I was like, well, what y'all waiting on? But then here's the other part of it. I just have inventory available and ready for them to buy. Huh? I need my presentation.
That's what it is. So I was like, how my clients end up with you?
I made it happen. She called me about something else about her dad. And I was like, wait, I could help them get into a property. Call Rocio on Sunday. I sent him a text message on Sunday.
We didn't even know. We were in a text thread.
We were in a text thread on Sunday. I said, Rocio, can you please qualify them? I need to have an answer by Tuesday because we need to make a decision on the property with the offers. They submitted their documents. Let me repeat this. They submitted all the documents, and Rocio was able to pre-qualify them within 48 hours.
Loan commitment, girl, no pre-qualification.
I'm sorry, loan commitment. Very big difference. They'll tell you about that. Hey, are y'all getting some value here on Zoom? Are y'all getting some value on Zoom? Drop a number 1 if you're getting some value right now. We're going to take a few questions from you guys before we segue, okay? Now, there are going to be different searches that you're going to be a part of. You want to...
Can you repeat? Well, they say ones, of course. And then they said, can you repeat the part about the credit? They couldn't hear clearly.
I don't know what I said about credit. What did I say about... Okay, we're going to talk about that later. Don't worry. Also, we're going to give you a credit. If you get started today, we're going to give you a credit of $500 at closing towards your closing cost. Okay, they're going to talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so there are going to be different searches. There are going to be FSBOs. Don't be afraid of FSBOs, for sale by owners. I know Sonia had a client that called her, hey, Sonia, I saw FSBO. Here's the address. Here's the phone number. They ended up closing with $40,000 of equity in their property because that seller was cheap, didn't want to hire a realtor, and they ended up losing $40,000 to our buyer. Does that make sense? All right, cool. All right, let's look at this.
So when you see a for sale by owner, and you're like, what are the things that?
Hold on. We asked a question. Let's bring you this.
He's so excited. He don't know what to do with all these gadgets.
So,
You just hold it right here.
so if you were to see a for sale by owner, what is something that might make you like approach that property? Would it be the area? Would it be?
You're gonna already have what you want. In fact, let's just do an exercise real quick. Write down the first 5 things 10 things that you're looking for in a property. Let's just do that right now. 10 things. 5 to 10 things. Your top 3 are non-negotiables. If you want a lake and you find a house without a lake, I can't help you with that. We can't put a lake. But if you want a pool, we could build a pool. We can't build you no lake. Okay? We got some things written down?
Yes.
Honey, did you write down some stuff for us too? Okay. What was it? What were some of the things on your list?
10 acres.
7-bedroom home, 8 baths, 3 acres, anywhere from the range of 2 to 5 million.
Now,
Okay, I got some homes for you.
Okay, perfect.
I did, no lie.
Now, do we have the capacity financially to buy that house right now?
Not right now.
Okay, but do we go look at houses? Do we pack our kids up in the car and go drive around looking at houses?
Correct.
And I make appointments sometimes. So I'm in the act of looking for a house because I already know the money's gonna come. So I've done. How many people do not own a house in here or property?
Do not.
Do not. All right, cool. So a little bit first. Now, if you ask me what my goals are, I want 1,000 apartments by the end of December 30, 2024.
So when you ask the question, let me clarify. Are you talking about a house that we would live in? Or
Whatever
property
your
that
goal
we would
is.
Own?
Everybody don't want to be a landlord. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Have single family in mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't clear.
Yeah, where do you want to live? What does it look like? You know, all those things are important. And then set yourself a target date. What's the target date? When do you want to do this by?
Review it every night,
All right, well, come on the stage then.
every morning.
Come on the stage then.
Can we hear like, some of the, answers that what people are looking for in a home? Cause as I'm writing this list, I'm like, I'm not even sure what I should be looking for real. Besides, I know what I want, safety, I know I want it to be built to last and resale, but am I missing like?
I want 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, single family or condo or townhome. What city I want to live in. I want to live in a high rise, or do I want to have a view? Do I want to have an apartment? Okay. And I got to accelerate. Hold on. Oh, I'm done. All right, so you find this property. Claudian takes you out. And you find the perfect property. The numbers make sense. Not a lot of work to do. There's somebody's lease is expiring in 2 months, so that's good. That's okay. As long as, you're able to move in, I believe, in 90 days, Rocio. What's the time? Let's just say we have a 4-unit that's all rented, but somebody's lease is expiring in 2 months. Is that sufficient for the person? Yes. Okay, good. And the property is good. So now what do you do now? This is what you guys keep asking me. What do we do now?
Right.
We submit the offer. What does the offer look like? Mari, I don't know if you could pull it up. You can't pull it up?
What we doing?
Next steps.
Yeah. So you're in contract. Okay, what does that look like? All right, you're going to get a document that you should have gotten in the buyer's consultation, so you've already reviewed it. I didn't do that? No. Okay. I like Andrea's response. She said not yet. They're going to say, okay, what's your purchase price? I'm going to send you some comparables. I'm going to show you this is what the property could appraise for. These are the values. Based on what you see, what do you want to offer? You're going to tell me, I want to offer $350. I'm going to say, okay. Well, we're going to now put down an escrow deposit, okay? Escrow deposit. It's just good faith, a good faith deposit showing the seller that I'm serious. That money will go towards your closing. However, if you do not do something you're supposed to do in this contract, you're going to give that money to the seller, okay? You're going to put your time frame for inspections in here. Generally, is 7 days. Okay. You're going to put your mortgage loan commitment date in here. So you need to talk to your lenders. How long is it going to take you to get me a commitment letter? Okay. That's when appraisal is done. You've submitted all the documents. Underwriting is going to say, okay, wait, this is a great file, but we need these additional documents. Right. Once she gets to that point, she's going to be able to furnish you a commitment letter, which I believe she's already done. Yes. But you're still going to build it in the contract. So 20 days is usually good. Now, don't call Bank of America, Chase, and I'm going to say this out loud, and all those big banks that think you're getting a commitment in 20 days. It ain't happening. You need at least 45 days to close. And while Rocio can close the file in 2 weeks, we don't like to put that pressure on her. So we want to give her at least 30 days. Okay? And you're going to build that also into the contract. Did you need something? Oh, you good? Okay. So now you've got your escrow, you've got your down payment, you've got everything that you need. You submitted this signed, and now we go to work. Now you're going to go and pay for your inspection report. You're going to look at the inspection findings and say to yourself, is this good, bad, and different? Do I want to go back and nitpick with the seller and say, oh, you didn't do the light bulb was out? That's not what we're doing. Right. If the roof needs to be replaced, let's talk about that. If the electrical things are tapped, then we want to talk about that, because insurance on the back end could be affected by these things on the house. Everybody following me so far? Okay, title, where does title come into all this? I'm just gonna say it just like this. You're gonna pick this building up, you're gonna sweep it, and you're gonna put it back down. And they're gonna give you a title insurance policy. It don't really go like that, but they're gonna make sure the house is free, or the property is free and clear of any liens. Now, when we bought this building, it was not free and clear of of all liens. We agreed to take the property with the liens on it. And we were going to renovate it anyway, so we just said we'll just incorporate that in what we were doing anyway. Okay? You get to decide. There are some things on title that you will not be able to just go to closing with, because mortgage is saying it needs to be clear. Title is saying it's needing to be clear. A code violation, you can close. Okay? But basically, the title company is there to ensure that you get a property that's free and clear of all lien encumbrances, et cetera, making sure that you get furnished this property with no legal issues. And they're going to also give you title insurance, because if they miss something, you get to go back to them and say, hey, you missed this. And it happens. Sometimes it's water bills. Sometimes it was a mortgage that they didn't see. They got to go back and pay it. Okay? Because it's attached to that property. All right, so let's keep going here. So I want Rocio to come. I don't know who's presenting. All right, so Vince is presenting. They've both been in the mortgage business forever. They're like top 1% of the entire market space. Very great guidelines. You guys got, it's I don't want to call you regular, because you're not really regular. You get deals closed. Like, I don't know how she does it. Like 200 loans a year. It's like crazy. But any which way, I want her to come up here. I want Vince to come up here and talk a little bit about the Fannie Mae product and how you guys could maximize on that. All right, so I'm going to move myself out the way. And y'all clap it up for Vince. And before, you want my, okay. Before Vince takes the stage, how many people, anybody in here with over 700 credit score? Raise your hand, honey. Over 700 score. The higher the score, the better the rate. Okay? Anybody here below a 620? Trent, I need to see some. Anybody here below a 680? Between 620 and 680. We're talking about the middle score. So when you look at all your three scores, whatever's in the middle. So if you got a 500 score, 600 score, 800 score, you got a 600 score. That's what they're looking at, FICO. Okay, that would be me.
Quick question. I know we're in the sevens, right? But there is also a housing score that's different than your FICO. Am I correct?
Housing score?
Like I know, like sometimes when I tell people, okay, my credit score is, let's say 740. They say, yeah, but your housing score is less.
Your FICO, yeah, it can be. There's different modules, there's different credit agencies. What you guys see is not a mortgage score. So when we run a mortgage credit report, which is a tri-merge, then it may be a little lower than yours, but you guys are over 700.
And that's all that's important right now.
That was a lot of work.
So,
right.
Years ago.
So I wanted to just kind of get a feel for the room, because not only do we have Vince in the room, we also have Shawnee, Purse Empowerment here, who, I don't know what she did, but my husband's score went from the mid-6s to over 700 in 3 months. And all I just said was thank you. Can you come and tell the people?
The PowerPoint.
So,
Yeah. No, I'm not going to need that.
I'm doing a podcast right on this stage.
Are we going to do a PowerPoint?
Yeah, I'm trying to get back on the screen. Oh, there it is.
Hey, girl, hey.
All right, awesome. So I'm working on my PowerPoint. Just first of all, let me thank Claudiane. Where'd she go? Just want to there you go. All right, there she is. Just want to thank you for inviting us here to be part of this workshop. Yeah, like Claudiane said, she's not only our neighbor, she's an awesome real estate agent, but we love when we partner with real estate agents that get it, right? We want to change the narrative. We want to not just buy real estate, be an investor, build wealth for our family, create that legacy. So, and which is the space that we're in as well. We're always trying not to just be mortgage professional, but also how do we, hack this system and get ahead. And in a few minutes, you're going to see why that's so important. But it's good when we have like-minded people and we work that. And then we go beyond that and we share with others so they can do the same thing. All right, awesome. Okay. All right, so Rocio and I, and by the way, thank you guys for being my audience and for being here today. Saturday morning. How you guys feeling? Learning this stuff so you can change things around. So good for that. Good for you guys. All right, we got that going.
He's over 40, so we need to zoom that up. He didn't bring his glasses today.
I'm over.
What he said? I didn't hear him, so thank goodness I didn't hear him.
All right, cool. So we got a presentation for you, and we'll go through it pretty quickly. Claudiane covered a lot of great material, but this is our house hacking PowerPoint presentation. And just so you know, I'll tell you guys while that PowerPoint going up, a little bit about me and Rocio. Rocio is my wife, my partner, and the one that kind of keeps me in check. I'm the guy behind the scenes, right, in the operation. So if I say something, when it comes to the lending, she's the guru. She'll correct me. So that's why she's here. Not only that, but also to make me look good. She's beautiful, right? So.
Aw, cool. Brownie points.
So.
Y'all, Rocio got into a car accident yesterday, so I don't think she
Yeah, that's why I'm looking a little weird.
Yeah, I'm okay. I was like, okay, when you get up in the morning, make sure you double check. And then she came in here like this.
Yeah, I'm going to go to urgent care after here.
So
I didn't want to cancel on Claudiane.
Yeah, no, can't do that. So 27 plus years in the industry, Rocio 20 years, and not just doing mortgage. I mean, we were the ones that, we said we got to do something different. I mean, at one point, we owned 6 duplexes. We owned that, it was right next to each other. We owned that whole block. And we really did great. Rocio, top producer in the mortgage space, but really what really 10X was really getting into real estate investing. That led to us buying some other townhouses, some condos. We sold off, and we ended up buying a beautiful cabin big huge cabin in Georgia that we Airbnb, and we have 2 properties in the Dominican Republic as well that we Airbnb. So we love not only doing mortgage to get people first-time home buyers in the house, but we love when people see something else where it's like, hey, how can I use this? How can I hack the system where it really can propel me? That's good. That's good. Thank you for that.
Huh?
Right here.
No, this one isn't on.
No, that one's, no, this one's not on.
That one's not on.
Oh, no, not in front of me. Yeah. No worries. So cool. So the agenda for today, just kind of, first off, is just awareness, right? You guys are here. There's people that are unaware of what's going on, the new changes. So being aware, again, I commend you. We're going to go over affordability, the new Fannie Mae rule, what is house hacking. We're also going to, what does that mean to you? Being aware, but how does that apply to me? How do I take advantage of that? So we're going to go about that, the down payment, qualifying, and as well, buying a house. Like Claudiane mentioned, buying a house, believe it or not, it's a decision, right? It's a decision that you make, and you can make it today, because if I make that decision, that's my destination. It might not happen tomorrow, it may not happen next week, it could be 3 months from now, a year from now, but you put yourself on a path. That's why they're going out looking at houses now. That path, may take some winding road. They may have to fix some certain things before they get there, but they already know they're on that path, and that's what we're asking you. If you're serious about, make that decision, and then you have the team of experts that it's going to help you get there. Okay? Some people get there faster than others, and that's quite all right. It's just making that decision. Next slide. All right, getting started. Let's move. All right, so awareness. So this is important, and I want you guys to see this, where it's like National Association of Realtors, they do an affordable housing index, right? And what that means is that you take the median house price, right, in the U.S. or in different areas, but in the U.S. in this particular case, and they look at, based on the average income, who can afford to buy. And it's never been since, if you think about it, not since 1985 has it been so unaffordable, right? So something's happening here where people are having a hard time being able to afford the average medium household. Okay, next slide. And the reason why I'm showing you is that because I want you guys to understand this is really not something you should do. In my opinion, this is something that you must do, and this is the reason why. All right, so it's something called inflation. So inflation, if you guys don't know, it's just where they're raising prices on everything just a little bit every year, and it's becoming a little bit less affordable. Your dollar's not stretching. Have you guys noticed where the eggs are more expensive, the milk, the bread? It's just happening over time. And that chart right there just kind of gives you a glimpse of 2022 and 2023, and a 40-year high in July of 2022, where it rose up to 9%, okay? And right now it's gone down to 3%. On average, it's 3%. So what you should be asking yourself, I know some of you are W-2, and I know some of you guys are business for self. For you guys at W-2, am I getting a 3% raise every year? No, that's a problem, because things are increasing every year. And even if I was, which I know most of you, employers are not doing that, they may cap you, but the inflation keeps going, right? And for those of you that are self-employed, am I building a business where I'm increasing my income, right? More revenue. So keep that in mind. All right, cool. So some of you, say, nah, it's not affecting me. Inflation, I haven't noticed, right? Yeah, a lot of people don't notice. You know why people don't notice? If you go to the U.S. debt clock, right, you guys can go up there, is that people are putting everything on credit cards. That's what's happening, right? The personal debt is up to $25 trillion, and most individuals have over $75,000 in debt, in credit card and debt. So this is an issue, right? This is why we not notice. But I want you guys to notice a couple of things. Healthcare costs from $5,000 to $15,000, triple. College tuition from $10,000 to $26,000 on average. Car, 20 years ago, right? Cars, this is 20 years, of 2020 to 2024. A car, the average car costs $22,000. Now it's $50,000, right? The medium home, $161,000, now is up to $423,000. But what's happened to income? The average income across the U.S. is $31,000. It's only gone up to $39,000. This is an issue. This is why we got to find a way to hack the system. Okay? All right, and the number one questions I get, so I'll throw it out here right now, is the right time to buy with the rates the way they are. The right time has always been the same as when you can afford it. That's always been the same. When you can afford it. And I can afford it much easier when I can hack the system and get somebody else to pay for my mortgage payments. So just keep that in mind. So we have to hack the system when you can afford it. Because I'd much rather take that $60,000 house that Claudiane was talking about at 18% versus a $400-something thousand even at 3%. So keep that in mind. All right, next slide. All right, so a couple of things. You guys have seen rates go down a little bit in the last few months. Everybody's happy about it. I get a little bit more concerned, right? Because truthfully, you bring in more people in the marketplace. There's still very low inventory because nobody wants to move out of their house, right? So that's only going to increase those prices. So like Claudiane's saying, hey, buy, because it's only going to go up, right? It's going to catch up. But what is house hacking? Just so we're all on the same page. House hacking is a term that we use as an investment strategy, when a person rents out a part of their home to offset, the expense, right? And the most common way to doing it is through duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. But yeah, I've seen people do ADUs. I've seen people, in Hialeah, people, the garage, they do all that stuff. All those things are house hacking. So to the young lady, that's another thing that you may consider. You can put an ADU. You can, all those things are house hacking just so you can afford, okay? Next slide. All right, so this new Fannie Mae that everybody's excited about, right? Why are we excited? Right here, I try to put as much information as possible because before this new rule that came out in November of 2023, the only way to really afford it without putting 20% down, 30% down was really an FHA product. But FHA I love FHA, by the way, but FHA does have some limitations, right? And we'll go over that in a few seconds. But basically, this new rule is that Fannie Mae says that you no longer have to put 15% down for a duplex or 25% for a triplex or fourplex. You can now put 5% down. That just opens up a lot of opportunity. If you look at it when we're comparing FHA to conventional, credit score, 580. Sometimes you can go a lot less with FHA, but I like the 580 score on there. 620 for conventional. So not, you don't need to have any crazy credit score. But yes, as your credit score increases, you get better rates, you get more flexibility, of course, right? Max debt to income for FHA, they're definitely more flexible there, 57%. And for Fannie Mae conventional, 50%. So that's pretty good. Now, this is where it gets interesting. In FHA, it's a little bit more expensive. The upfront premium in FHA, 1.75%, okay, of the loan amount. That's an added expense that in the conventional Fannie Mae you don't have, so you save money there. And then the other thing, there's a monthly mortgage insurance, 20% down. Usually typically 0.5%, that kind of thing. But in FHA, it's for the life of the loan, permanent. For Fannie Mae, it's not. It's temporary. As soon as you build enough equity, it comes off, okay? Loan amounts. We love this, that we've increased the loan amount. So do you guys think you could find a duplex for $795,000 FHA, $981 Fannie Mae? So they're giving you opportunity. They want to give this money away to you guys.
And this is new, 2024.
2024.
New loan size.
So, and then we got the 3 units and the 4 units. You see 1.4 million in Fannie Mae. So very, very nice. The other thing is sometimes people, hey, what if I find out I want to get a really, really good deal, right? I want to go talk to some owners that have run down. They don't have the money to fix things up. They're retiring or whatever the case is. FHA and conventional both have a fixer-up loan. You can buy the home and you can use some of the funds to fix up the place. So keep that in mind. You want to talk to your realtors. Your realtors are the ones that's going to find not just those homes on the MLS, those off-market property. I'm sorry, Claudiane, your realtor, right? So they're going to find these off-market property. They're going to go to the auction site from the government. They're going to find those deals. It drives me crazy that almost all those deals, investors are picking that up when the government agency, they, for a period of time, don't allow the investors to buy. They're saying, no, we want to give the opportunity to the regular folks, people that are not invested, so they could be a first-time home buyer. Nobody knows about these sites, I guess, because the investors still are picking them up, the majority of them. Departure guidelines, that's what Claudiane was talking about here. FHA are very strict on departure guidelines, meaning that I'm leaving the home. You got to be over, 100 miles away before you can consider doing that. And they're really strict on that. They want you really just to have one FHA loan, where Fannie Mae, they don't have a problem with that. You could do one every year. And we say go ahead, you have a question?
Can you do FHA and Fannie Mae?
Mm-hmm.
Time out.
Go ahead.
So the FHA loan is for a primary resident. I'm going to live on that property. Right? And what we're talking about, this type of loan for Fannie Mae is also that I'm going to live in that property.
If you want to put 5%, you have to occupy the property. Is that the question? Or can you have an FHA and a conventional and a VA? Yes, you can have 3 different products. Yes, you can.
Okay. So Fannie Mae, they're very flexible. I always tell people a year be in the property because no one's going to even bat an eye. No one's going to care. If you've been there a year, things happen, that kind of thing. When you start doing the 6 months, I left in 6 months, people are going to start questioning. Is he trying to hack the system? But if you do a year in the property, you can pretty much move, buy a new property every year. No one's even batting an eye about that. So we love that. That's what, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut your statement.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Okay, so very flexible. What else we have? Repairs. So FHA is pretty strict on repair. They're really about safety. So if there's some chip paint or some broken glass somewhere, they want those things repaired before you can purchase. So that becomes challenging because some sellers don't want to repair anything or they can't repair anything. Where Fannie Mae is a little bit more flexible, they say, hey, work it out, give a credit, they're okay. FHA wants to see a repair. They're even going to send somebody back to the property to make sure it is repaired. And again, I still love FHA, but Fannie Mae is my favorite product when it comes to that. Self-sufficient test with FHA, very important that your mortgage, right, and in most cases it does work out that way, but your mortgage, whatever that mortgage payment, all the rent have to be able to pay off that, be equal or more.
Cover the
right?
mortgage,
Cover
right.
that. And a lot of people may think that, hey, I can just, increase the rent or, that kind of thing. No, the appraiser is going to go out there and dictate market rents around here. It's about $2,000 or $2,500, and they're not realtors, right? They do a good job, but they're not realtors, right? I would prefer the real estate agent, the expert, to tell me what the market rents are in that area. So FHA is looking in that where Fannie Mae is not. Okay, so that's very important. Proposed rents, every rent that's out there that the appraiser puts out that believes that what you can rent that property for, right? We're only using 75% of that. Okay, so just understand that piece. And then FHA, as far as term, they usually do a 15 or 30. Fannie Mae is more flexible, depending on the person. They're also talking about coming out with a 40-year. I don't know if it came out yet. Not yet, but they're talking about that to just make it more affordable. So this is why people are so excited. So I'm actually 51 years old, but thank you for saying 40. My son is 31. Super proud. He just got engaged and he wants to go buy a house. What to do? So I told them, similar story to what Claudiane was talking. I said, hey, why don't you let that courtship, just got engaged, that courtship lasts for a year, right? And what you're going to do is that you're going to buy, duplex, triplex, fourplex. You're going to buy that. And your fiance is also going to buy one, right? And then there's going to be a change of circumstances. So you both have 4 units or 3 units. There's going to be a change of circumstances when you guys get married. And then you're going to go buy a triplex or fourplex together. And then after a year or 6 months after that, you don't want, your neighbors. You want your own space. Now you're going to go buy your, single family. So a lot of people, see that as, wow, we're setting ourselves up. And it was a great question that you had because there's nothing stopping me as a non-occupant co-borrower to, help them in those scenarios. So I don't have to live with them in any of those units. I can help with my credit, with my income and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Next slide. All right, so preparing. So what does that mean for you guys? What do you guys need to do to prepare, okay? How do you use that information? How do you work with the lender? Okay, what we do, we're getting you pre-approved, right? And what we do at Mid-Mortgage, we pre-underwrite your application and to take the guesswork. And that's what we did with this lovely couple here, within a matter of a couple of, days. We underwrote the file and we gave them a commitment right away to take the guesswork. She now can work with Claudiane, their realtor, and know exactly, what properties to attack, to make offers on, and things like that, okay? But yes, we are going to look at your debt-to-income ratio. This is the more important thing. As I told you when I started, the number one question is affordability. Can you afford it? That's what we look at. That's what we care about, okay? And sometimes, based on your income, you can afford more, right? But maybe, you like to travel. You eat out all the time.
You don't cook.
You don't cook. Whatever the case is, that's quite fine. We make sure that we put you in something that you can afford. House hacking helps because you're trying to get someone else to pay for the mortgage or for the obligation.
Yes, my question is the debt to income and the student loans particularly. I graduated college in 2005, I think so. And ever since that time, I had an amount of student loans that was always, anytime I thought I was ready to purchase a house, they look at the student loan and don't even worry about it. And that was kind of stuck in my mind from many years ago. And so I wonder, is that still student loan an issue when it comes down to debt to income?
I can answer that. So no, it's not an issue. I mean, going to school is not an issue. But for qualifying purposes, we take a percentage out of your outstanding balance. So let's say you owe 30,000. 250,000? Okay, so we are going to take, depending on the program, 0.5, 50% of that balance, and we use that as, we count that as your debt, right? That's for FHA. For conventional, we use 1%. So we would use 2,500 as a payment on your 250,000, unless you provide a letter, right? A fully amortized letter or something from your department that states what your minimum payment is. So we do use a percentage of the outstanding balance. Yeah.
Now, couldn't she, and I don't know if you're doing this already, but could she do the income-driven repayment plan, which would take her?
She can, but I would need it in writing to state the monthly minimum amount, fully amortized minimum amount.
Because if she's not doing, if they're just basing it off of 0.5, that's going to be pretty high.
If you have a $250,000 debt,
So
absolutely.
She do an income-driven repayment
Yes.
plan. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Okay, so the IDR, you do that, and it takes it down to what you can afford according to your income. Right.
Wouldn't that affect her credit score if she's?
No.
No, it shows that it's paid.
No, it just shows that you're making payments.
You had a question first, and then go ahead.
One, yeah, we are on the income, and it shows our payment is paid every month, even though I don't pay based on how I applied to get the income repayment. However, you all still use the 1% per month to say, hey, if for some reason you had to pay it, you would have to pay, in my case, like $630 added to.
Correct. Unless you contact the department, but with your situation, there's no issue, like you qualify.
Right.
But in her situation, that could be a deal breaker.
Right. Now, the income. So did you all take what they said I paid? Because I am on that, and it's on my credit report. But were you able to take that?
No, I believe in your scenario, there was no minimum payments. I could double check, but we used, were you qualified FHA or conventional? FHA. Then we used 0.5, 0.50 as a payment. But I can double check.
Let's say your income's under the table, can you get a cosigner? For this, can you apply?
Yeah, so under the table meaning you don't report you don't report the income on your taxes. So yeah, absolutely. You can have someone like yes, you can have a non-occupant cosigner. Let's just say that person owns a property and they have a lot of income. They could be non-occupant cosigners on your behalf, or they can also live in the property with you. Yeah. My daughter, for instance, she is in your situation, or maybe not yours, but doesn't report any income. But she put $1 of income on the application, and we, as her parents, are the non-occupant. She can still take advantage of occupying the property, putting minimum down payment, and use our income to qualify.
Yeah, but she's in California. I'm trying to get her to come back over here in Florida.
Non-occupant cosigners, or is the maximum 1?
You could have up to 4. Technically up to 6, but I see 4 maximum, 3 to 4.
But it's a nice segue to documentation, because we know a lot of self-employed, don't report all their income, for tax purposes and things like that, which is a strategy. But yes, you could be making $100,000, but we have to get the documentation to see that in order to qualify you, or you get a non-occupant co-bar or something else. But for those that are self-employed, a good strategy for you guys, and I'm not sure Shawnee is going to touch on that, is you build your business credit and you take a lot of your credit and push it over to the business side.
Cars.
So cars and things like that. So it helps your debt to income ratio. But these are the documents that we gather, usually 2 years tax return, W-2s, pay stubs, and identification and what's in your bank account. That's what we look at. I believe Claudiane is going to provide this to you guys, but if you want to take a snapshot, that's fine. Next slide. Okay, so the biggest thing we talk about is affordability. That's the most important. And just so you got an idea of how underwriters, how we pre-underwrite, and how the lending institutions do it. Basically, they take your income, and this is who's going to be on the application, right? So I put their household income. So usually, if it's just you, if it's you and a parent, if it's you and your spouse, we take you're going to be on the application. I consider that your household income. 100,000, we divide that by 12, we get the monthly, right? Gross income. And then we times it by 50%, or we divide it by 2 to get 50%, to get half of that. This is what we say is affordable, all right? In the lending side of things, this is affordable to you. So from that amount, we also got to take away your car payments, your student loans, your credit cards. What's left over is the mortgage PITI that Claudiane was talking about that is affordable for you, okay? There's a worksheet as well that's going to be provided for you to have, but that's how we do it. So what's a mortgage PITI? Principal and interest is usually the loan amount, the interest rate that you qualify, and the term will give you your principal and interest. On top of that, what you got to add is your taxes. You're responsible for your taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, it has ramification where people can purchase it and you can lose your home. So we have to include that. We want you to pay your taxes. And insurance. Your home needs to be insured, right? Something happens. We live in Florida, hurricanes. We need to make sure that you qualify for the whole PITI. Question?
Question from the Zoom. It said they recently sold a property in August. I was in the market to purchase another. However, I was not eligible to utilize the DPA program because they require you to not be on a deed in the past 3 years.
That is correct.
Is there any way that you know that I can program?
So I could answer that. So for down payment assistance, you cannot have any ownership interest in the last 3 years, whether it be that you were on title or not. Now, since this gentleman or lady doesn't have ownership currently, they can still purchase through FHA with minimum down or conventional with minimum down. They just won't be able to take advantage of the grants or the DPAs out there.
Great question, though. So important with the taxes insurance, understand that, different areas, Coral Gables, Miramar, different taxes, like Claudiane was saying, $20,000 in the area that we're at, insurance, bigger houses. So keep that in mind. Work with Claudiane, the right area, for the right numbers for you. Next slide, please.
Amari, next slide.
All right. So I put this slide up there because I wanted you guys to, get an idea, okay? And we put out that as far as the maximum loan amounts, all right? You could definitely find properties for less than that, right? And like Claudiane said, sometimes it's a sacrifice, For those of you that are working remotely, you guys can go live pretty much anywhere. And if maybe you have your kids that are also remote as far as school system. But we wanted to just put that out there. Sometimes it is a sacrifice, but it pays dividends at the end. The reason why I have this slide up there is I wanted you guys to notice that the single family home, right? The single family home, it requires more income from you to qualify, right? The fourplex requires less income because you're house hacking. And we put up there like $2,300 in rent, but that'd be hard to find someone who's paying $2,300. You could definitely, some property, $3,000, $4,000. I mean, my neighbors is renting their house for what?
Like $7,500.
$7,500. So it depends on the area. But I just wanted to put that out there for you guys, because someone thinks, oh, I can't afford a duplex or triplex or fourplex. Let me just start with the single family. It's actually much easier to qualify you for these programs. So just keep that in mind.
Right, because you're using the rental. We can use 75% of that rent to offset your mortgage. So that's why it could be easier.
So that number is calculated there. So if the quadruplex is 8156, would you be saying, okay, so we see there's 3 units here that's going to bring in X amount of dollars. That's included in your month. What would be your monthly income?
Right.
Is that not considered?
I am considering. That's why I said to you earlier in Claudiane's example, the units we're paying for the whole mortgage. So if you find a unit that way, then I don't really need much income from you other than to make sure you can pay your car, your student loans.
Yeah, in the fourplex scenario, if you notice, approximate principal, interest, taxes, and insurance is, I can't see from there, 10,000?
10,900 and something.
But if you buy a fourplex and you're renting each unit, which is 3 by 23, you're really only responsible in paying, I can't see the number, 4,000?
Yeah, 4,000.
So in the eyes of an underwriter, they're going to consider the 3 rents from the other units, and then your income would really only need to be less than 100 grand. This is just an example, but we did use the 50% rule, okay?
Yeah, just to give you an idea that, hey, I can easier qualify for these triplex, fourplex because I'm house hacking. I'm using someone else to pay for this expense.
Yeah, and we used $1 million, I can't see the number, 400?
$1,474,000.
1.4 is the number that we used at rents of 23.
That's a nice fourplex.
If you find something a lot less, then it could be more affordable. We just went based on the maximum capacity on the loan size.
Next slide, please. Okay, down payment. So this is what everybody's excited about because before, Fannie Mae was 15% down, 25% down on these type of units. Now it's 5%. So you definitely don't need 20% down. It's no longer effective as of November. Now, yes, some people, like Zoom down payment assistance, you can still get a gift. So all those rules still apply with this program. It doesn't take it away. Next slide, please. Credit. So we look for a 620, but we talked about it. The higher, the better. The more important thing is to make a decision to get on this path, on this journey. We have experts like Shawnee, as she's going to be coming up shortly, to tell you how we can explain to you how you can boost your scores up and other things that you can do. But 620 is what we're looking for this program. Did I see a hand go up? I'm sorry. No? Okay. Next slide. Buying a home. Cool. So house hunting, get with your realtor, know your budget with your, loan commitment or your pre-approval in your hand. Claudiane, again, the expert that you want holding your hand for this type of project. Don't get emotionally attached. It's so important, because, everyone's road is different and you're going to be submitting offers, back and forth negotiation. She takes care of that. Just be patient. You're going to find the right home that's right for you. Do your search. Again, it's not just the MLS. Claudiane doesn't just look at what's in the MLS. She's looking at the off-market, reaching out to her clients. She's looking at the auction sites. That's the type of realtor that you want working for you. Think ahead. Again, a lot of people, want to think about now. Really think about setting yourself up for the future. Why am I doing this? It is a sacrifice. It's not easy, but you got to think ahead for yourself and your family, the future. Look at more than just a house. So that purple house probably wasn't, or pink house, you said purple or pink?
Okay, purple.
Purple house probably wasn't the prettiest house, but look what it's worth now. And sometimes we go in again with these renovation loans, we knock down some walls. I mean, Claudiane and I, we have the exact same house but it looks different, right? Because we knocked down some walls, she knocked down some walls, we did different things. Her bathroom's awesome, after
We're remodeling ours right now.
After I saw her bathroom, I'm going to remodel mine. But look more than that. And the improvements you do pay dividends. You got to make sure some improvements are worth it because now you can bring up the rent.
Some are not, like a gold toilet, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Or like one of those hot ones that I have at home that is, yeah, heated one.
Sorry about the multiple number of questions, but I believe I heard you say you have to move in within 90 days, right? I think I heard that.
So when you purchase the property as a primary residence, it's 60 days.
60 days.
Yeah, you have to move within 60 days.
So say you have a property that has some tenants in it, or even one that doesn't, but it's kind of run down, and you need to do some renovations that maybe extend beyond that time frame. It's going to extend beyond that time frame. What does that look like? What does that scenario look like in terms of approaching a loan?
Well, if you do a rehab loan, we know that you can't occupy that because it's not livable. So on these type of loans, they don't have that 60-day occupancy like the non-renovation loans have.
Right. So if you buy a home without the renovation tied to it, right? You're saying that this home is livable. You may want to do certain things, but this home is livable where I can move in right now. So they give you 60 days to occupy it. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's obvious a loan that needs repair, then you do a renovation loan with it, and that is when the renovations are done, that's when you move in. Okay. Next slide. Do's and don'ts. You're going to get this, but there's a lot of things. Claudiane is going to provide this for you. But there's a lot of things. Before you do anything, just check with Claudia. Before you do anything with your credit, check with Shawnee. Before you do anything, check with Rocio on your do's and don'ts. But you guys are going to get that. Next slide, please. I think next slide. And I think we have the don'ts. They're right there.
Next slide.
And then the next slide, your team.
No, those do's and don'ts, they gotta know.
Oh, they got to do that. All right. Yes, all right. Definitely keep an ongoing record of your income. Your tax return. Just have them somewhere. Where any documentation, stuff like that. Just keep them handy. Don't make large bank deposits. A lot of people think that that's a great thing, but we have to source all the funds. So even before you, hey Vince, I just put $10,000, $20,000. We're like, no. They may think it's a good thing, but we have to source every fund. There's a right way of doing it.
And we usually look at 60 days.
Right.
60 days worth of bank statements for conventional, 30 days worth of bank statements for FHA.
Changing jobs, a lot of people, Vince, I just got promoted, I'm making more money. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. Sometimes a person goes into more commission-based versus salary-based, and you haven't proven your commission, so I can't use it now. So keep that in mind. I was able to use it before, but now you're the supervisor. You have a team. I'm going to make all this money now. Great for you, but you just hurt the qualification. So again, before you do any type of financial changes, please. No major purchases. I can't tell you how many times people went and bought the car, or
even after we tell them not to.
Even after they started furnishing. They started going to Rooms to Go and buying all the furniture. Don't do anything when it comes to your finances.
And let me tell you why. Because within 10 days of your closing, we do something called a credit refresh. So we don't run your credit per se to hurt your scores, but we do like a soft inquiry. And what that does is that it tells us if you ran your credit elsewhere, and if it shows up Rooms to Go or Mercedes, right? Let's just say, they're going to ask, well, did you open any new debt, right? And you don't want to say no and then have that. So you got to be careful with running your credit.
And the last thing is definitely the panicking, stress. And we know that buying a home, it is stressful. It is your biggest. But, when you're dealing with professional people that recommend it, we probably seen almost every type of scenario. And we probably are, can find a way. We issue that pre-approval, very rare where, very rare. I can't remember the last time. Usually something that they did or didn't listen or... but we're usually seeing almost every type of scenario, especially this young lady, like Claudia says, I don't know how she does it. She's on the phone doing 10 different things. I'm the type of, I'm going to call you back. Let me go read that guideline. Let me go check again. She does it in a way that's seamless and help, but don't panic, right? That's the most important thing, not panicking.
And we should address, right? Like there's a lot of lenders that may just spit out a pre-approval and give it to you, but then they're not really pre-underwriting the file because you may not get under contract until maybe 3 or 4 months from now. So there's things that we could help you to avoid a cumbersome experience, right? So you want to be able to gather all your documents, run your free credit report, which Shani can talk about how you can do that, and then actually sit with a lender and look at it and say, how do I get mortgage ready? And you may not be ready today, but let's get you to that home ownership, right? Let's get you through that steps, whether it be 6 months or a year. Let's prepare you. And it may be paying off some debt. It may be contacting a credit company to boost up your score or remove some derogatory trade lines. Or it may be that you need to get a second job and we need to use that for 1 year. It may be many different scenarios. So unless you don't know, unless you don't talk to a lender, you're not going to know when you're ready. So, and we don't be shy. I don't care if you have a negative balance. I don't care if you have a non-sufficient funds 30 days ago. I don't care if you spend all your money in Starbucks. We're not going to judge you, but we're going to guide you and get you to buying that home. Okay?
Yeah, and most of the time, a lot of times, we're dealing with the seller as well. And, when we do the FHA product, no, I don't want anybody FHA. And it takes us calling them and explaining to them that, this is what we do. We've been doing it for a very long time. We're structuring properly. So that's important. Okay, next slide. And then having the right team in place. I can't stress, Claudia touched on it. Having the right people, taking care of you, holding your hand and getting you through the weeds is super important. And one more slide. Question and answer. Oh, by the way, this is cool.
You guys may download the QR code that has my app, and then there has a mortgage calculator, an affordability calculator. You could apply online. You could upload your documents. There's video tutorials, so you may want to download that app for a mortgage calculator as well.
And for those of you that were asking about the credit, basically what we do, we give a credit at closing, usually about $500, the amount that it's going to take to the appraisal cost. So some appraisal $475, $500, $525, $550. We give you that credit at closing, so that's a savings for you guys.
Okay, so say you have a 4-unit that you found, no occupants at the moment. Going in, you're anticipating, okay, I could get 3 units covered and it's gonna be beautiful. But then you get approved for the loan, you're moving forward, it's yours now, and you're having you don't know where to start to get occupants, in the home. Like, do you guys help with that?
Realtors.
Okay, so your realtor basically should, tie that knot together for you, basically.
They should be finding you the tenant before you close.
Before you
Just
close.
to make sure, or at least get it started.
Yeah.
But there shouldn't be any properties now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sonia and Claudiane, are they vacant? Do you see a lot of properties vacant that are in good condition?
I mean, you see people, they're moving out, moving in, but.
Okay.
they
The
haven't been
turnaround is
working
pretty
on-
quickly.
Yeah, turnaround is quickly.
Okay.
Like whoever's gonna live there, does the FHA want it in, like, the money in your name?
You mean the down payment and closing costs and stuff?
Well, yeah, like, whoever's getting the mortgage, like, do they want it in your personal name?
Not necessarily, so for FHA, the down payment and the closing costs can be gifted. Meaning, you could find a donor, a relative that is
No, I'm just saying, like,
gifting
if
them.
you have, like, let's say you have a business, do they want it, could you put it in, like, do they want the business name or your personal name?
Oh, got it.
I mean, if it's your business, and we're not hiding that it's your business, you can have it in your business or in your personal, it doesn't matter. What they don't wanna see is cash
I
deposits.
just want to make sure I clarify. You're closing this loan and this home under your name, okay? Now, as far as the funds, okay, they can come from, your savings account, they can come from a parent, down payment assistance, they can come from other sources. We just have to document it, verify it.
So if it's your business, and part of the income is, the assets are in your business, then we can use your business bank statement in addition to your personal to provide the sufficient cash to close. Sometimes they may ask for a letter from
A CPA stating that the liquidity, you can liquidate the funds and it doesn't affect you negatively in your business, but that's, you can talk to me about that and we can sort that out.
All right, any other questions? What about Zoom? No questions from Zoom either?
Do we have any questions for the people on Zoom?
Yeah.
If you're traveling for work, but you necessarily don't have to buy property here in Florida, we're gonna get the loan here. We can buy it anywhere in the States.
Yeah, traveling nurse,
But if you travel for work,
yeah.
how does that work if you're not gonna be like in the property?
Well, usually,
Constantly traveling?
so in your position, do you have a hub, right? So you travel like 6 months and then you come back to your hub, or are you traveling? Yeah, so then if it's your hub and you travel for work, but that's where you're stationed.
From here to Texas, and let's say I'm going back and forth from Florida to Texas, but I want to buy the property in Georgia. How does that work?
Well, how are you going to occupy the
That's what
property?
I'm saying.
Yeah,
Because
then,
if I travel for work, I can also go to Georgia to.
Yeah, so there's the remote worker where I can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
But you specifically are either working in Florida or Texas. So, okay, both. So you need to buy a property either in Florida or Texas.
right.
Yeah.
And not to say that you can't buy a property in Georgia. It can just be a vacation home and then you need to put 10% down,
Yeah, just a different program.
You know?
Yeah.
yeah.
What if she has a non-occupant co-signer that lives in Georgia?
Well, they're going to be non-occupant. So if anything, they would have to occupy it and she would be the non-occupant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, can you purchase a property in a business name?
Not for this
under-
program.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do it all the time, so yeah.
Yeah.
What does it take to purchase a property under this business name?
So I have I've established my business credit, but it's great because I don't need even to provide income. And usually I'm required to come up with 15% down. So when I do it. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
No, we're good? All right, awesome. Thank you so much. You guys have been awesome. And great questions, by the way. Cool.
Wait, help me out. I forgot I have this.
All right, we making way today? Yes. We starting to understand?
Yes.
All right, we starting to understand what's going on? We ready to buy some houses, some properties? All right, when y'all buy, I get to do good deeds and I get to make a lot of money. And y'all get to make a lot of money too. So we get to make a lot of money together. So any which way, I want to just segue for a second and bring Shani up, who is Person Empowerment. If you don't follow her, you should. She's been featured on Channel 4 in the financial column section. Mario, I don't know if you could put my QR code here. Like, does it ever stop? Anybody got kids that's like close to 30? Does it stop at some point? All right, let me get him this because I need to get. So I created, he's going to pull it up. I created a place where you can pay a little of nothing. It's really just really for time. But if you use our services, we'll be able to credit you back $300 more than what you're even paying for the service, which Amari's going to pull up in just a bit. There you go. All right, there. So the QR code is there. You could just scan it. If you want to be a part of it, it's going to be a community. It is not an ongoing price. It's a one-set price. It's going to be a community where we take you from point A. We say, okay, you're about to do your tax returns. Don't file them yet. Here's what this needs to look like. Some of you might want to even partner in deals and do a collaborative. It makes sense. I told Amari, get his friends together. Y'all start buying properties because what happens is that you're one person by yourself on the island. Claudia, I can't afford it. And then you bring this person who has good credit and some income. You start to expand your capacity. And you just make sure you have your paperwork in order. And I know Shani was just talking about the DSCR loan, which is something that we could do too. You know, and so you just got to kind of look at what you can do. All right? You need to go to the next slide, Amari, so we can get the Q. Come on, say it with me. Q. Everybody say it. QR code. And then that is the QR code. You're going to have access to credit behavior. Remember, I don't care if you got a 680 score. If you can improve it to a 720, why not? The higher the score, the lower the interest rate. Okay? So we'll be able to have that tax return strategy, soft pulls where it doesn't affect your credit, and so much more. We'll have an ongoing community. But what's going to be great about this community, guys, is that you're going to have access to properties that a lot of people won't have access to. Okay? You're going to have access. I want y'all to be like them. They called me about something totally different. I got inventory that was a good price. I called them up, and literally in 72 hours, they were approved, and they're going to be submitting an offer on this property. They ain't seen the property.
I think we just saw pictures on Zillow.
Oh, I gave you the address?
Yeah, you gave it.
Oh, I gave them the address.
And first it wasn't on Zillow. Then it was. And I was like, oh, we can actually see it.
Right. It's pretty decent. It needs some work, but the bones are good. So just imagine going into Liberty City. How many people know what Liberty City is over it, y'all? Buying a house that could be potentially sold for $550. And like, who would have thought?
I got to talk to you about something.
Yeah, the neighbors don't look like me. I'm like, what's going on over here? Hey, y'all. Y'all visited? No, we live here. What? Listen, but any which way, I'm excited. So that's what that community is going to bring. I also work for banks. So when they're ready to put their foreclosures on the market, they call people like me and say, Claudia, we want you to put this property on the market at X amount of dollars, usually discounted, sometimes not, but if the deal is right, we can at least show you those properties before they hit the MLS. And that's going to be key. That is going to be key. I have another property that I'm selling for $275, $285, somewhere in there. Once fixed up, can be sold for, like, I just can't even think about these numbers. Or you live in the property. Fix it up and live in it. We have 203K programs where we could do renovation loans. And the equity is there. And typically, how often do you use that product? No. Right, because there's no equity in the house for you to do, to finance the repairs. But if I'm able to call Lisa and say, Lisa, I got the ideal property for you. It's not on the MLS yet. Come look at this property. We can be a little bit more intentional. So that's what this community is going to be. Literally, we're going to meet week after week after week. My goal is to get you into the property. It's $199, and I'm going to be honest with you. It's not for me. It's for you, to buy you in. And that's why I said, Rocio, can we give them a credit? I didn't even want to give them a credit for $199. I want to give them a credit for $500. And she said, yes, absolutely, we can do that. I don't make any money off of her loans. Even though I keep saying I'm going to get my license. She's like, no, you just send me the referrals. So did everybody get that? Do the people on Zoom see that? Yeah. All right, perfect. So the people on Zoom see that. Great. Y'all sign up. Come on, pay your $199. And let's bring Shawnee Curry to the stage. It's a stage up here, y'all. You have to have good people in your life. So my friend who's a billionaire says, Claudia, why don't you use the school for some stuff? And I was like, you're right. I'm going to do my own. Instead of paying for venues. Yes. And I just sat back there and said, I'm going to keep doing these until every seat is full. And we start creating stories. Yeah. And we're going to be able to bring those people here, tell their stories of where they started, how they were able to get through. My mind is expanding. You know, back when I was a little girl, my mom used to do something called, my parents are Jamaican. They used to do something called a partner draw. Mm-hmm. And every week, they would put the money in there, and then somebody would get the money out. I'm like, you think it's crazy, but it really makes sense. Because now I just helped you come up with your 5% down on your house. Yep. And guess what? You still got to pay every week, but now you got the 4 unit that's paying you money. And so now that's not even coming out of your pocket. It's just a 1-year investment. I'm just thinking about so many things. And first of all, my podcast getting ready to be on this stage, because when he told me to put these 2 chairs right here, I was like, they're not going to be these chairs. But isn't that a nice setup for a Zoom? For a podcast? And I'm going to interview some of you. I'm going to interview some of you. So listen, I'm excited. I have an investment fund coming, already underway. Listen, my goal is to do 1,000 apartments by the end of this year. And I'm only going to do it because I'm the black girl from Carroll City, and they probably think I can't do it, so I just want to do it. Right. All right, so come on, Shawnee. Come tell the people how to get their credit together, girl.
Easy. Okay, so thankfully, I don't know how that's going to show, Amari, when you get that up to speed. Oh, look at that. So it's up to speed. The good thing is I've been doing this for a very long time. So if it hangs out there, then it's there if you need to take pictures. If you hit that QR code that you see right there, if you schedule a free 15-minute session, then I'll gift you my free book. As soon as I see your name on my calendar, then I'll gift you one of my books. Now, I saw some people say that did they say 6? I think you said who has higher than, no one in here has lower than a 630 credit score? Okay, so I've seen your face before somewhere. I don't remember. Either it's really memorable. Well, good morning again. Okay, so you guys said that you were the only 2 that's under a 630, okay? So does anyone in here feel like they have the credit score to purchase a home tomorrow? You guys do. So most of you do. All right, so, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Good. You don't want to tell. They ain't going to steal your credit. That's like some of my clients, they come to me. One of the first things I'll say is, well, I need your Social Security card, I need your driver's license. And they're like, Shawnee, somebody can steal no one's gonna steal this credit. No one's gonna steal. You're a solid 580. I guarantee you, no one's gonna take this, okay? Now, when you get up a little bit higher, you know, you get into the 680s, then there's some people that may wanna try to move around. But at this time, where you're at this 580 level, you're safe, right? You are safe at this particular time, right? So we want to make sure that, so the good thing is that it doesn't take that long to build your credit. Have either of you that's in the 700 club, how long would you guys say that it took you to build your credit?
With your help.
With my help, yeah. You guys are far along, but yeah, with my help.
We, total from the time we started to now, I would say about 2.5 years.
Okay, so you would say 2.5 years. How long would you say that it took you to build your score to that space of that you're at now?
Well, it's not there now, but initially it took me months actually, because I was travel nursing and I was paying down my debt, calling the debtors and negotiating to get the debt off, and it went up into the 700s really quick.
Really, really quickly, right? So you would say maybe.
Mortgage on my credit though, but it went up because most of it was on the credit card debt.
Perfect. Okay, so you said maybe about 3 to 6 months.
Well, let me revise that. Now, from the time I had help,
We saw immediate.
we saw some immediate.
Right.
So that was more like.
Wait,
6
you was trying to do it on
months.
by yourself?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. After we saw, I'm gonna tell y'all what happened real quick. We saw a Zoom that you did
During
with-
COVID.
Yeah, during COVID.
Yeah, we did it during
with you.
COVID.
Yeah,
we
we
did
did it
it
during
together.
And
Yeah.
I called. And I did have somebody else that did too help me, raise it some, and then you of course helped boost it more. So between the two, I would probably say about a year.
Okay. So
I
you
think we
say-
were actively.
But we were doing
when
stuff,
saw
we
the
did
work.
do stuff on our own before, like we had to go get a credit card from the credit union, a secure credit card, we gave them $500. And, you know, so actively looking at the credit report and that kind of stuff.
Okay, good. And then one more you share. So how long would you say that period for you repairing your credit?
My credit was always really good, but I probably dropped like a few points below because I had an issue with a rental. So it took going to 3 different people playing with my money first to get it back up. And then finally found a friend of a friend who just got it up like within a few months.
Okay, within a few months. So we had a few different spaces, 3 different people sharing like what is the timetable. But largely when you think about it, if someone's saying, hey, it took me maybe about 6 months, and someone else is saying it took me maybe about 12 months, this isn't a long commitment. You understand what I'm saying? When you think about it. So most people feel like this is going to be a long commitment. I don't know when my credit is going to be usable. I don't know when my credit is going to be available to me. But in the 13 years that I've been doing this, that is pretty much the time, right? So most people, if you guys are taking notes, I think that the best retention is note taking. But one of the things that typically where people get stuck is not so much on old stale debt, it's your utilization. 30% of your credit score is made up of your utilization. I can pull everything that was on there since, you know, the day you were born off of your credit report. But if you have a credit card for $1,000 and you're using $500 of it, then the likelihood of your credit score moving up drastically in a short period of time, it is likely not to happen. So the large part of it, the biggest predictor to being able to borrow money for anyone, for any reason, is that you can borrow money and you can pay it back. And the more that you demonstrate that behavior with your credit cards, it's just going to increase the probability of you having access to other people wanting to give you money. I like teaching in this kind of space because oftentimes, like we can, especially, you know, in a communal kind of way, debt can really be something that is really like shied away from. And in some communities, there's some communities that I travel in and people just waiting to get in debt. You know, like they leverage debt. They're excited about debt. It's a good thing, right? And then you can see his face, right? He's a principal, by the way. He's like, debt, you know, like, you know, so it really depends on the stigma that you attach to debt and what are you doing with the debt and how are you going to use it to build, right? So being in this type of setting makes that very, very easy, especially with individuals that's saying, hey, it took me this amount of time, it took this one. The key thing is going to be your utilization. That's going to, without me even looking at your credit report, is going to be your utilization. Are there going to be errors on your credit report that I can easily remove? Yes. Yes, there's going to be easy ones. The credit bureau receives 444,000 disputes every year. 444. That's a lot of people that's looking for errors on their credit reports, right? That's a lot of errors. What are some of those errors commonly on a credit report? You're gonna find people with their names being misspelled. If I update and remove your name from being misspelled, that's probably gonna be about 30% of the work, because if your name is spelled wrong, they cannot validate your debt. So the first thing is that you're gonna look at your credit report, and also not everyone is gonna work with me, but I want everyone to purchase a house. Not everybody's gonna work with me. Some people I don't want to work with. If utilization is bad and I got to keep calling you, telling you the same thing, that's going to drive me crazy, because my prices ain't even that high for me to be calling you like that. Like, I don't want to do it, So certain people, like, there's a specific demographic, but even if you do not become my client, if you implement what it is that I'm saying, your credit score is going to go up in as little as 3 months to a year. So one thing you're going to do is just dispute your demographics, all of your demographics, your name, your date of birth, your address, your employment. Those are all base level things that you just want to dispute. You want to make it very difficult for anybody to be able to find you and validate that debt. The other common error that I found is that you have paid off something, but it's still on your credit report, right? I saw the head nodding, right? So a lot of times, and especially right now when you're on the internet, you've probably heard by show of hand, someone saying, don't pay your collections. Have you seen a talking head saying, don't pay those collections on the internet? Yeah, a little bit, Sean. Okay, I've seen it, right? And me, largely, I'm with them, right? I don't pay collections. That's not something I'm gonna pay unless a lender says to me, Shawnee, if you want this house, you're gonna have to pay this. And then I'll be like, okay. Right? But I'm gonna push it to the end, And another thing, a lot of lenders, and they can agree with this or not, is a lot of lenders that I work with is, as long as you don't have more than $2,000 in collections, they don't really care. Is that you guys' standard as well, right? So a lot of times, because of the shame that you feel or the overwhelm that you feel, that, this is gonna be overwhelming. There's no way that I'm gonna get there. But if you look at your own credit report and you be like, I only owe $2,000. The people over there said they don't even care about those little $2,000, right? So that gives you a barometer. So for those of you that are taking notes, $2,000 worth of collections, most lenders do not care about, as long as you're under that threshold. Another thing that you can do is look at medical debt. You can look at your credit report and look at any medical debt. If it's under $500, it's illegally being reported on your credit report. Now, some people, interesting enough, they'll hit you with 501, like, what's wrong with y'all, right? And that's when you have to call the medical embezzling and then start negotiating just so it can be right at 500 so you can just get it off, like 505, 515. Get this out of here, right? So that would be one of the things that you can do, is looking at your medical debt to have those items removed. Let's talk about some more common errors. So I see balance amounts being wrong. I'll see the amount that you owe versus the amount that you paid. I'll see that being wrong. Collections are the thing that I like to see the most, particularly. The older, the better. The older something becomes, credit is built in the last 36 months. So they really looking at how you performed in the last 3 years. That's how your score is becoming your score. More errors. So you got demographic errors, you got balance errors, you got debt on people's credit reports that's just not theirs at all. It's not yours. Like, you ain't even making it up. It ain't even credit repair. It's literally not yours. Another common is repossessions and when they're supposed to come off. Time. So for those of you that are writing things, when it comes to 7 years, it's supposed to be off your credit report. It doesn't matter if they sell it and re-report it. 7 years is the max. And what you're gonna look at is the report date. When did I get this car? When did I get this credit card? That is the time in which it's dead, after 7 years. When it comes to repossessions in the state of Florida, the law limitations on those being reported is 5 years. So if you have a repossession, 5 years is going to be the max. All right, I'm gonna pause for some questions because I can get a little long-winded and put you in a loop. So are there any questions about anything that I said at this point? Yes?
Medical bills, so do those ever fall off, or does that fall under the 7 years debt collection?
So they fall off like kind of like in that standard period, but medical bills are very, very easy to have disputed and removed from your credit report. Largely the community that we're sitting in right now, when I look at the credit reports, it's largely medical debt. You know, I mean, because of your credit score and because you haven't purchased a home just yet, some of you, I make that assumption, haven't purchased a, single property, you probably are not in a whole bunch of debt. I'm probably not gonna look at your credit report and see $50,000 in unpaid debt. The likelihood of that is very, very slim. I've been looking at credit reports for a very long time. Before I was doing credit reports, I was working as a banker. So I have a lot of research and I have a lot of analytics when it comes to Black and brown people, what ends up on their credit report, largely medical debt, maybe what's holding you back that you feel shame on, that you feel embarrassed, you feel like you can't move forward, is largely under $10,000. So you got $10,000 worth of debt that you just feeling like I can't move forward, right? And you don't want to feel that way. You want to put yourself together on a 6-month plan and figure out, how am I going to get out of this? If you sit with a mortgage lender and they look at your credit report and they say, hey, listen, we need you to pay this off, then you can get a settlement. If they say, hey, I need you to get this paid off, then you do want to get a settlement. You want to go through the process of paying the settlement. If it's 6 payments, this is 4 payments, if it's 3 payments, whatever it may be. But again, the window here is 3 months to a year. We're not talking about 20 years of just going around the same things, putting a house on your vision board every year, telling it, like, come on, man, like, we gotta move it, we're talking about the same thing, and the goal is to get better problems. You don't want to have the same problems that like, I get mad when I get the same problem, because that means I haven't grown. If I go in the gym and the same things hurt, I'm annoyed. Like, come on, man, I've been doing this too long. Give me something else. I say that to God, give me something else, because I don't want these same problems, right? So when it comes to your credit, you want to move beyond this. You don't want to keep talking about it. You don't want to not be able to apply for a credit card and just automatically assume, that you're not going to get it. You just don't want to be bothered with any of that stuff. And it literally takes you anywhere from 3 to 6 months to just get it removed. Now, some of my credit colleagues, sometimes one of their challenges is that they make it seem like, well, all they got to do is take some stuff off your credit report. It's just not that simple. It's a co-partnership between you and I. You've got to take care of your utilization. And once I get your credit score up, don't go get no new credit cards like that. Right. Don't go buy no brand new car, because it's your first time having a 680. So you done forgot you wanted the house. So you gotta keep in mind. So why would you even want to do this in the first place? Why would you, especially in this particular market? And Florida alone just has one of the fastest growing appreciation rates when it comes to purchasing property. If you move to other states or you buy in other places, you're not going to get, it might be cheaper to buy there, but you're not going to get the appreciation that you're going to get here. There's very few investments that you can realistically put that kind of money away and get that type of return on your investment, that you wouldn't have to sit in front of a computer all day and sometimes know what they're talking about and sometimes you don't, right? That you can pay your mortgage every month on time and allow the appreciation to build. You had a question?
I did.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding being a co-signer on his car loans, how does that impact my credit? Being the co-signer.
Yeah, it's going to be this. It's going to have the same impact. So some of the languages that you see, you'll feel you're responsible the same way. Yeah, the responsibility is the same. Do you guys give like a credit if it's like they have a car, it's a co-signee? Do you credit it in the DTI as it being 50%, or you just see it as this person's responsibility?
So that's a great question.
Thank you.
If you're the co-signer and you are not paying the car, and the other person is paying for the car for the last 12 months, I don't have to count that payment against your debt to income ratio.
Okay.
But it has to be a 12-month history.
You have to prove 12 months that someone
That the other person is paying for the car.
Okay.
Right.
That's really good to know. I'm gonna try to remember that so I can make a post about that later.
Even if you have a 10,000 or 15,000 medical collection, I'm just saying it, we as lenders don't require any medical collections to be paid. If it's non-medical collections over $2,000, it would need to be paid either at closing, or we count 5% of the outstanding collection as your monthly pay, as a debt. Okay, so medical collections don't need to be paid. Anything over $2,000 will need to be paid at closing, but if you don't want to pay it, we just count 5% of the outstanding collection as payment.
So what she's saying is completely correct. The only challenge is sometimes is you can't even get to the 580 without you knocking off some of that debt. Sometimes you cannot get there. So some debt has to be paid for you to make it to a number to even have a conversation. So if I look at your credit report and you're sitting in the same space, I'm going to say, hey, listen, you have to pay a portion of this because you're stuck where you are. So yes, to her point, once you get to a certain threshold, above 680, whatever her number is, then fine, you can be, that's why it's good to have conversations with them so they can let you know, hey, this is what needs to be paid. We don't really care about this, and go on and go so forth. But if you get stuck at a specific place and you can't even sit in her office, some of the stuff you're gonna have to pay. Yeah.
My other question was about business credit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you work with business credit as well as personal credit?
I do. So I had a conversations with one of my clients that I just positioned her to start building her business credit. And the only thing that she has at this time is just foundational business credit, meaning she got an EIN number, she has a DMB, she has a virtual address, she has a phone number, right? And so she kept saying, well, Shani, I can apply. I said, you don't have a business. You have an EIN number. You understand? You have an EIN number. If someone goes into your bank account right now, do you have any bank statements that will qualify you for somebody to give you $5,000 right now? You don't, right? And to have a business means that you're profiting from what it is that you're doing, right? It's not just a name. It's a profit. You're asking someone, so keep that in mind, whether if you're asking for business money or you're asking for housing money. They don't really care where you work, what you do, who you is, black or brown. Can you pay me my money back? And am I going to have to call you every month for you to pay me my money? And the more that you're able to demonstrate that you're not going to be somebody that they have to call on a regular basis, the higher probability that people will give you money for either your business or for buying a house, a car, or getting a credit card. And that's just foundational. That is the hack. That is the hack. So you see people online, there's no documentation loans for getting your business credit. As soon as I connect my clients to any of those applications, they want to see, give me the login and password to their personal bank account and their business account. And as soon as they look in there and they see what's in there, they're no longer interested. That's for almost every little name that you see people pointing to online. They want to see your bank statements. So the biggest thing that you want to do when it comes to business credit is that, number one, you want to have a profitable business. That's number one. That's the first thing. You want it to be profitable. The other part of it is that you do want to get some vendors. You do want to get some secured cards under your business. You want to build it. You have to build it. Think about this right now for just 1 second. If the person sitting next to you right now asked you for the minimum cost to purchase a home in South Florida right now, and the last time I checked, it was $450. That's the last time I checked. If anybody in here right now asks you for $450,000, what's your first question? You crazy? What else? How you gonna pay me my money back? When you gonna pay my money back? Where do you work? You gonna wanna know. What's the, and that's just basic. So a lot of the stuff that you see in information, if it sounds too easy, then it's likely not to be as true as it's being represented. Yeah, so there, you can't skip the foundation. All right, go to the next slide and make sure. Oh, remove late payments. All right, so I'll go through my slide really quickly. And of course, if you're on my calendar for the free 15-minute, I'll check it when we're done, and then I'll make sure I sign your books for you. So the first thing that will just help you get ready for home ownership is that you want to look at your credit report. Hopefully, I've said enough information that if you were afraid and you were scared, you're like, whatever. Okay, if I don't look at it, it's going to stay the same. But if I look at it, I increase the probability of changing it. That's what I want. Got you. Remove late payments. Now, if you don't have any late payments right now, or if you had any late payments before, you don't want to get any more after today. Because every time you're late, it drops your credit score anywhere from 25 to 50 points each and every time. So if you were late 3 times, let's just take an average. 50 points, 150 points, gone. January, March, December, bye. If it's on your mortgage, they don't want to see you for a year, okay? So if you already have a property, don't be late. All right, so get rid of old stale debt. Old stale debt is going to be those items that have been sitting on your credit report for a long time. Those are also the easiest things to get off your credit report. The older they become, the better off you are. That's like when somebody borrowed money from you. The first day, they should have gave you $50 at lunch. You're real mad. But 2 years, that same person with that $50, you don't even really care anymore. You're like, don't talk to me though, but you ain't get no more $50. But you know, the longer it becomes, the less you care.
My question is about rental credit. Like, I rented all my life, never owned. Utilizing the, monies paid towards rent as something that could be established.
Yes, for sure. That is definitely one of the ways that my clients are able to boost their credit scores by being able to report their rent. And I'm also going to parlay that question over to Lucio to see, how do you guys treat rental history? Obviously, it's not on the credit report, so how does that help? Is it like a compensating factor?
So it can be when your scores are under 620 and you want to go over a 43% debt to income ratio. We need to look at compensating factors, and rent is one of them. Rent, light bill, phone bill, it is a compensating factor if you have it. It's not necessary, but if you have the lower credit scores and you want to get a loan, that may be required.
What do you mean by compensating factor?
So let's say somebody has a 580 credit score, and DU, which is the engine that we pre-approve someone, doesn't give you an approval because of your score. Then we as lenders look at trade lines that are not on your credit. So rent, being a trade line that is not reported on your credit, is a positive trade line for us. So we may need it if you do not get approved the traditional way. So it's not necessarily needed, or if you have a 660 or 700, we may not need rental history. But for the cases that you have a high debt to income ratio, you have lower scores, it does help the qualification.
Is that something that the individual could do in advance? Like, you know how you hear people say, I called the collector and
I have an app for that.
Yeah,
So you ain't got to call nobody. You just get on the app and they report it to your credit. That's it. You don't have to call nobody. You just report it. But it does help. Yeah, it does help.
Thank you.
So we talked about get rid of wholesale debt, remove unauthorized inquiries. So you can remove unauthorized inquiries and you can remove authorized inquiries. The thing is, if I'm not the person that's doing it for you and you decide that you're going to just take some of the information that I'm sharing with you and you want to remove the inquiries, do not remove inquiries attached to any open cards because they will close your card. So if you have Capital One and you want to dispute that inquiry to get 3 to 5 points, don't do it. Okay? Inquiries are worth anywhere from 3 to 5 points. Anywhere from 3 to 5 points. So if you got 15, that's a good place to start. Builds new credit. Things like your rental report, things like reporting your utilities. If you're working with a sophisticated app, it doesn't really tell them that it's your rent per se. They just see it as like a positive trade line. So they take all the stuff that you pay on a regular basis and just report it, and it looks like a credit card as opposed to it being your rent and your utilities and your car insurance and all the stuff you're already paying. All right, yes?
When you do that, like case in point for your rent, do they backdate that? Do they go ahead and do they start the report from that point forward, or do they go back?
Some companies do. Some companies do, not all. Not all companies will backdate. So let's say you start today. There are some apps that are sophisticated enough that will be able to pull your rental history for the last 24 months. But most apps is just going to get you from the time that you start paying until when you close.
Trying, how do you view your recommendation, individuals, especially the younger generation, would say, hey, Mom, can you put me on that credit card that you've had for many years and you pay excellent, just so I can build my credit? You don't have to give me the card. I'm not going to use it. Just can you put me on there so I can build my credit?
Yeah, for sure. So that's one of the things that I've done for my children. They've already started to build their credit because they're connected to my positive history as authorized users. If you are hitting those base quotients where, number one, there's no inquiries, there's no late payments, there's no inquiries and late payments, and it's not over 30%, then yes, you can add your children. Not all cards are created equal, so not all companies will let you do it. It's age limits for one card to the next. If I told you to be 15 cards and I'll be telling you 10, 9, 8, 7, So it's different. Now, one of the things about it is a lot of my clients oftentimes come to me closer to the end of like their process. Maybe they're we've cleaned everything off, and at this point, you want to get more points, right? You want to make it into a different credit category because you're kind of stuck. They will become authorized users, either on the individuals that I work with to assist you with that, or they may use a family member that qualifies for that criterion. The challenge that I have with some lenders is that they know how to look at your credit report and be able to tell that this particular credit card is not actually yours. So 2 reasons why you would want to be on someone else's credit cards is, number one, it builds your utilization. So maybe you've only been able to get $500, but this person has $5, $10, $15, $20,000 available to them. So that's going to make your credit availability through the roof immediately. They also have age that you don't have. So if you go to the bank and you open up a secured card and it's for $500, you've had that for 3 months, that's it, right? But if you get added to someone else's card, they have a whole credit history of anywhere from 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You also get utilization and you get credit age. It's wonderful. But lenders have been lending for enough time to know that this is not actually your money. So it will improve your credit score. Yes, it may even get people to send you credit card offers in the mail. Yes, some lenders will look at it and know for sure that this is something that you have done, and and it's just not yours. So some lenders don't like to lend on those standards, and you guys are the lenders, so you can speak on how you kind of, deal with AUs, authorized users.
Yeah, we use it, and especially when we're trying to get the scores up.
Okay. All right. Did anybody have questions about authorized users? Authorized users is just if we look at her and she got $50,000 in good credit, she got 30%. I say, hey, this lady right here, she don't have no credit at all. Only thing she got in her name is that one little car, okay? Can she give you some money to get on your card? And you go, yeah, Shani, she sure can. And then she gets on your card just like that by using Social Security, name, date of birth. That's a very simple thing. But you don't want to do it with someone that you don't have access to, because if they're late, you're late. She can't impact her credit score, but she can impact hers. So your children, they can't do anything to you because they don't even have the cards. But if you start being late, they late. So now you got a 5-year-old with late payments on a Honda. Now that ain't right. Right? Any more questions? No? Okay, great. So I hope that I've shared at least one thing that'll help you out. The thing that I want to do the most is, if you felt like this is going to take me too long, I want to help you feel in your mind that I can shrink this goal. This is not something that I have to keep praying about. This is not something that I have to keep visualizing in my mind. This is not something I should write down every year. This is something that you should put some action to so you can stop talking about it and get some new problems. One question. Yes, ma'am.
You said if we schedule a 15-minute call, we get a free book, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, I scheduled it. So.
Bang! All right, good. Is that all? Any more questions, comments? I don't take no criticisms in public. You have to write those down. Send an email, and I ain't gonna read. All right, thank you, guys.
Shani?
Yes.
Do you build business credit?
I do build business credit. Mm-hmm. I do. Here you go. Claudia, and I've given you the same presentation in short form on the phone many times.
So did y'all enjoy was today like instrumental?
Yes. Thank you.
Was today instrumental?
Yes.
Who's moving forward? Like, who's getting ready? Who wants to do something this year? Huh? Give me a date. Give me a date.
A close date or?
When you want to do it by? Well, what's the close date for you?
So the close date is how quickly can you close on?
Zoom, drop those dates. When do you want to accomplish your purchase?
I want to be able to finish this deal and get another deal started within the next 3 months.
All right, cool.
The next 3 to 6 months.
All right. Y'all got to do some dates. It's 3 to 6 months. July 21st. Look at the calendar. Write it down. Y'all what I'm telling y'all to do is not something that I don't do. How many times I said I want a 1,000 apartments by when? December what?
31st.
Exactly. I've said it so many times that y'all should be adopting my goal. Just because you remember what I said. You gotta know what you want to do and then start attacking it. Start looking at properties. Start getting into the internet. Start going to drive-by properties at night. Drive by in the morning. So you gotta create these days. What's your date over here? See? You done missed the whole lesson. No, you want to get your property by when? February, March. Man, I just did a whole presentation. Maybe I should start with mindset first next time. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, because I'm going to get y'all out of here right now.
That for Fannie Mae, for conventional financing, the higher the score, the better the rate is less riskier. So there's loan level pricing adjustments, which dictate the adjustment to the rate, and it goes based on your score. So if you have a 720, but you want to get to a 740, having a 740 can probably be an eighth of the difference in interest rate. Better. So you want to get your scores to the highest amount.
All right, so do not text Boss Talk to that phone number because I don't know where it's going. These are some old flyers I found last night. So I was like, ooh, I'm going to use these. All right, so if y'all have a question, you didn't think about it today, you know what? A week goes by, give me a call. I'm going to start the community. I don't care if one person is in the community. We're going to be active there. We're going to be literally taking you from one place to the next. I don't really have the capacity anymore to work individually with everybody, but I have a huge team, and we all have access to some inventory that I know that you guys would need access to. And I'll tell you this because when you're in the market, and first of all, she's giving out not pre-approvals, but commitment letters. That's a big difference. But you have big competitors out there. Do you guys see that company that just bought like 1,000 and change? I saw it on Instagram. They bought like thousands, a portfolio of thousands of single family homes. Right. That means you're out of the equation. Right. I think it was in Vegas. It was in Vegas. So you got to be able to strategize and partner with the right people. You're going to be the same person next year saying, I wish I coulda, shoulda, woulda. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. There you go. So listen, that's my time. I'm going to go get my babies. Lucille, you go to the doctor. Do we have any questions on Zoom? Do I need to answer real quick? Are we good to go?
Right now, no, but wait like 5 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, Claudiane, can I give out some books, please?
Absolutely.
I have Kiana, St. Louis.
Right here.
All right, perfect. I have Zuela. I already gave you your book already.
Bassie's not here. She left.
Oh, she said I ain't got time. Melissa. Thank you. That's what I have for now. So I'll be waiting for the rest of you.
She's like, Mom.
I brought her for a reason.
All right, so we good to go? Yeah. We excited?
Yeah.
Y'all got it. All right, so now y'all got to help me rearrange. I'm just kidding.